Okay. Welcome, everybody. Thank you very much for your patience. This is the full board meeting of Manhattan Community Board 1. Tammy Meltzer, thank you for your patience calling the meeting to order at 6:14 for the public session. Comments by members of the public will be held to 2 minutes. We do have a timer running. If you are online, I will apologize, but you will be muted. If you're in the room, we will ask you to have a seat. It is just so we can be even across the board for everyone. So I'm gonna call a couple in the, can you raise your hand if you are in the room and looking to speak from the public? Not including our elected officials, who I know go during the, okay. Great. But before we go to the people who have joined us online for the public session to speak up, we're gonna allow Tricia from our Manhattan Borough President's Office out of order to go during the public session because she has several more meetings to go to tonight. Tricia? Welcome.
Hi, everybody. It's really nice to see you. Tricia Shimamura from the VP's office. I really apologize for asking to go out of order. We have an incredible 4 community boards all meeting right now, and about 50% of our staff is out sick. So I'm gonna be making my way up and doing a couple of these tonight, but it's a real pleasure to see you all in person. It's lovely. I think I met most of you throughout the community board application process, but just so you're aware, I myself served on my community board for about 10 years before I got a job opportunity of a lifetime, in my opinion, working for a guy named Mark Levine. So I know what you guys do very, very well. I love when I first introduced myself to the staff for the first time, I said, the only thing you need to know about me is that I love community boards. And that's very true. So I'm just going to give you a couple updates, and then I'm going to have to take my exit. But just so you know, our amazing Andrew Chang is here. He's going to be with you for the entire meeting. If you ever need anything, we're literally right down the hall here. You cannot get any closer, and we're just really happy to be able to host you guys here. So a few things. We've had a really busy summer. You probably saw us, if you were out in the summertime at any of the events, you probably saw us at Night Out. You probably saw us at the Seaport for Day of Water. You saw we distributed truly thousands of pieces of PPE, back to school checklists, which I left a couple over there. Those were a little favorite of mine. We distributed those around 2,000 families throughout the city. If you would like more, if you need some PPE, if the district office would like some PPE, COVID test, whatever it is, just let us know. We're here to help you guys, and would love nothing more than to get engaged with you. You may have seen earlier this month, the VP did hold a press conference calling for the revitalization of Lower Manhattan waterfront and re-envisioning the FDR, specifically through the Brooklyn Bridge and the Battery. We know that transit corridors, improved public spaces, and expanded waterfront access is really not just a matter of transit, it's been a matter of public health, of equity, of sustainability, of resiliency. And really, I just wanted you to know that you can see a little bit more information online, but this is truly just the start of a conversation that will, of course, be engaging with CB1, CB3 in the process. I think the VP has already been directly in contact with your chair, as well as CB3, so we're looking forward to continuing on this conversation. Finally, a few events and things going on. We're going to be holding an immigration rights panel uptown at 885 Columbus Avenue on October 4th. This is really geared towards asylum seekers. We've been directly engaging with those folks, with other areas that we see a lot of migrants coming together to give them. We'll be giving out information on asylum, deportation, visas, temporary and protected status. We're also going to be giving away backpacks at this event. So if you'd like information, if you know somebody who might benefit from this information on an immigration workshop, just let us know. We're happy to get that information out there. We also have Hispanic Heritage Month coming up. And so we're going to be doing an event on October 17th, which is a Tuesday at the 92nd Street Y, celebrating Latinos in tech. Would be very cool to have representation from CB1. It also happens to be in my neighborhood, so I would love to meet you out there for a drink afterwards if you're drinking age and if you like that.
Where's that going to be?
92nd Street Y. If I can tempt you into celebrating Latinos in tech, which would be great. So let me know if you'll be there. That would be super fun. Finally, I just want to say, you are community board members, most of you here, and so we hold you all to the highest of expectations when it comes to keeping up with trainings. We held an EEO training, which is an equal employment opportunity training later this last week. We also held a conflicts of interest training. If you've been on the community board for longer than a month, then I'm sure you have heard somebody bring up something about conflicts, about voting when you're supposed to be voting, that sort of thing. We also have a third training that we expect all board members to take every year, which is combating implicit bias. We held those trainings virtually. We took recordings of those trainings, so you can get credit for watching this just by watching it. When we get it on our YouTube page, I will send out a link. You can also have somebody come to your community board meeting here and do it in person for you, which if that's what, I think Tammy was one of the chairs who said, yes, I would like to do that. So we can arrange that to happen. But we're also going to have it a third time at our November leadership training series. This is kind of like our version of like a brown bag lunch sort of thing every day for a week. We'll have a virtual kind of sessions, and we'll offer these sessions as well as land use 101 trainings, so parliamentary procedure trainings, other trainings on how to be a better tree care for trees, yada, yada, yada. I'm losing my mind. But those are the types of things that we're going to be coming up in November. So please keep an eye out. Please stay up to date on your trainings. If you have any questions about anything that I said, because I said it very quickly and not so eloquently, please email Andrew, email me, and knock on our doors. We're here all the time for you. It's really lovely to see you all, and thank you again for letting me go out of order.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys.
I was gonna say, does anybody have questions for her? But she's running, but if you do have questions, email and we'll get them off, but Andrew's here and he can answer them during the business session. The most important thing is if you can let us know before the next set of training sessions, which ones we can have at Community Board 1. I'd be happy to give you our executive committee for a full board training.
Perfect.
Thank you.
COIB and EEO are the two ones that I can pretty much guarantee you right now that you can have like integrated into one of your community board meetings. The last one is in combating implicit bias, which we actually work with an outside organization to help run. So I can't speak on behalf of that, but those two are the kind of the easiest ones that you guys can really take several different ways. So we'll be in contact. And don't freak out yet. You have plenty of time to doing it, but just we take it really seriously and we hope that you all do too. Yes, ma'am.
What's the ma'am?
Sorry. My mom's probably watching this because she gets excited when I'm on YouTube. So I just want to make sure that she's.
Yikes. I just wanted to know the date on the Latinos in Tech at the Y.
Yes, of course. Oh, I'd be so thrilled to have CB1 attendees join us there.
Some of us old geezers.
Yeah. No. Tuesday, October 17th.
Thank you.
Yes, let us know. I'm truly serious. That's not too far away from my home. I will hang out with you guys afterwards. I would love it. So please let us know.
I'm Desi, by the way.
Desi. Thanks, Desi.
All right,
Thanks, guys.
thanks very much.
Good
Thanks
to
for
see you
coming.
guys.
And just so everybody knows, Tricia is not the first elected who has said something to me about being at multiple meetings.
Yeah.
So in the fall, we may take a look at the calendar and kind of maybe decide to move this meeting a little bit. The holidays make it crazy, so, but it's a conversation for a future night. Alrighty, moving on to the public. Do we have online, Smoke Free NYC, Stephanie Mercado Altman? Cool. Let's see. If we have, can you? I don't see any Stephanie. Yeah, maybe she's not here. All right, so I do see her. We'll come back. I see Sean has his hand up, Conklin from Pace University. Sean did join us at Quality of Life. We want to unmute. Can you move Sean up so people can see his face? All right. Sean, we moved you up to panelist simply because you came to a meeting as well. So if you'd like to turn your camera on, you can.
Thank you so much, Tammy. I just wanted to say thank you to you and Mariama and Pat for having us at the Quality of Life Committee. And we're getting to work on all the suggestions and questions you all had. And I look forward to joining you all next month to update you on those things. And I wanted to let you know that we were also in touch with the residents of 140 Nassau Street who attended that meeting as well and are working with them on the issues of our lights in our new building 15 Beekman bleeding into their apartments. So we just wanted to join you all. Thank you, and look forward to listening to the rest of the meeting.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Kira Levy has her hand up. She will be next from the Hudson River Park Trust. Or about the Hudson River Park Trust. Kira?
There we go. Hi, thanks so much for having me. My name is Kira Levy. I am the Assistant Vice President of Marketing at Hudson River Park. I'm just wanting to share that we are very excited that our science play area at Pier 26 will be opening later this fall. We are still doing wet lab look-ins at Pier 40. Those are free and open to the public for anyone who wants to come and see our flow-through aquarium. A little bit further north, we have Gansevoort Peninsula, which will be opening in the near future. And also happening this weekend, though again, it is a little bit further north as well, is Submerge Marine Science Festival, which is our largest and we say our favorite free science festival where everyone can come and learn about New York City's waterways. For more information about what's going on, you can visit our website at hudsonriverpark.org. That is my brief update.
Wow, okay. Well, thank you very much for coming, Stephanie. And lots of exciting stuff going on. Kira. Sorry. Going to Stephanie next. Can we, Stephanie, if you are an attendee, if you could put your hand up so we can find you, that would be lovely. And thanks, Kira. Sorry about that. Still don't see her. Okay. We will continue along. I don't see any other, correct me if I'm wrong, from the team with me. I don't see anybody else then from the public service signed in to speak. So we will move quite quickly then. Yes, no Stephanie, right?
That's cool.
All right, well, not finding Stephanie, everyone else is part of our elected officials teams. So let's move on to the next part of our agenda, which is the public hearing. So we will open the public hearing at 6:26. Seeing no sign-ups. I just want to double check, sometimes there's a lag. Do we have any sign-ups in the public hearing? Philip Rumsey. If you can raise your hand, Philip, so we can find you. Okay. Don't see Philip. Oh, there you are, Philip. Fantastic. We will request to unmute you and move you as a panelist. If you'd like to speak during the public hearing, welcome. Philip?
Yes, hello. No, I'm not here for public comment.
Okay, fantastic. Moving along, let's see if there's anyone else. Okay, seeing no other signups for the public hearing, we will close said public hearing at 6:28. Yeah, we're moving along here. Alrighty, and then we're gonna move on to start our business session if no one has any objections to that. And today's public session, we'll do the adoption of the minutes, the updates from elected officials, and then run straight into the Office of Cannabis Management's presentation. Alrighty, so let's do an adoption of the minutes. We're gonna go roll call for that because it is our first adoption. Mimi or Colin, who's?
Emerson. Blank.
Blank, yes.
Brown Kitty?
Cameron.
Cameron, yes.
Sell. Chang.
Chang, yes.
Chapman.
Chapman, yes.
Charkoudian. Cole.
Cole, yes.
Coleman.
Yes.
Corman.
Corman, yes.
Kucha.
Kuchia, yes.
Curtis.
Curtis, yes.
Herman. Flynn.
Yes.
Forsberg,
Forsberg, yes.
Friedman, Froman,
Roman, yes.
Galloway,
Galloway, yes.
Goldstein,
Goldstein, yes.
Grayson,
Grayson, yes.
James,
James, yes.
Joyce, Ju, Kay. Somebody.
Betty's here.
Betty's here.
She went around, call her back because she went around.
Cannell,
Mel, yes.
Capel,
She has to.
Lerner. Lewinson, Lynn, Lyon,
Lyon, yes.
Mahoney, yes. Meltzer,
Meltzer, yes.
Minsley, Moore,
Minsley, yes. Minsley, yes. Can you hear it? Minsley, yes.
Yes,
thank
we
you.
got you, Morton. Pat,
I'm
you're next.
almost,
Moore, yes.
you. Porchakuri, Robinson,
Robinson, yes.
Rossi, Shear, Star,
Yes. By the way, I can't get to the link to sign in.
Vera Sung,
Yes.
Thompson, Townley,
yes.
you,
You, yes.
Zelter,
Zelter, yes.
Go back.
Go back for Joyce because she's online.
I'll just go through it, just.
Okay, go.
Everzone, Cassell, Kudian, Erman, Friedman, Joyce,
Joyce, yes.
Ju, Joyce, yes, thank you, Tricia. Ju,
Absent.
Kay. Okay, she's here.
She is here.
She was. Capel, Lerner, Lynn,
Lynn, absent.
motion passes 35.
All right,
So you're getting her?
when, okay.
We'll get her, she's back.
Yeah, when she's back. Okay, let's move on to, our elected officials so we can get rolling on that. We have Tevin Williams here from Congressman Dan Goldman's office. I believe he's online. Tevin, welcome.
Well, hi, thank you so much. I apologize I can't be there in person, CB1. Thank you so much, Chair Meltzer and everyone there. It's always good to see y'all. I apologize I can't be there. I'm out running around in the district and also making sure our government stays open for at least a little bit. So thank you so much for letting me be here online. I just have 3 quick updates for all of you. First off, the Congressman wants to welcome all of you back. We hope you had a great summer. We'll be planning a Meet Your Congressman event within the next month or so in Lower Manhattan, so please stay tuned for that. The first thing I want to say is Congressman Goldman and Congressman Nadler have resent our request to the mayor about the September 11th terrorist attack documents. There was a FOIA request filed by the families of 9/11, the responders and survivors to obtain the documents of understanding the health impacts of 9/11. We've rebumped that again to the mayor and asking for that to be released. I also wanted to share that Congressman Goldman and Nydia Velasquez have asked, or Congresswoman Velasquez have asked the United States Army Corps of Engineers to do more comprehensive flood protection outside of just putting this plan out. You can read more about that I've shared with the chair and vice chair. There's more details there. And as many of you know, gun violence is a major issue in our country. We've fought for a bill called the Gun Violence Act, which will keep guns out of violent criminals in our country. There are already 22 states that have gotten this and banned handgun purchases by people convicted of misdemeanors, and we're fighting for that federal ban now. I shared with multiple of you in the community, Board Member Corman, Ms. Justine Kusia, also Tammy Meltzer, Chair Meltzer, and Vice Chair Blank about the 9/11 cohort. Please, if you're interested in that will be happening this week. That's a youth cohort that was pushed through. The congressman will be on that call. It is open and available to the public. If you have any questions about that, please reach out to the chair and vice chair, and I'll get you that information. Registration is free. It will be on Zoom this week. If you have any questions, I'm available for them now. Thank you so much.
Okay, does anybody have any questions for Congressman Goldman's representative? Eric?
Oh, yeah, hi, Tevin. You mentioned that Congressman Goldman wants to, he supports a bill that prevents people with misdemeanors to be able to obtain a handgun. Is that what you said?
Of a violent misdemeanor from purchasing handguns and ammunition for 5 years after conviction.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, does anybody else have any questions for Congressman Goldman? Okay, Tevin, thank you very much for coming. We appreciate the time. Keep our government open, please, and we'll see you next month.
See y'all next
Alrighty.
month in person. Take care. Thank you again.
Love to. Alrighty, moving on from there. Your timing could not have been better. Welcome, Senator Kavanaugh. You are next.
Look at that. Should I come up that way?
Anywhere you'd
It's been
like.
a long time since I've been in a community board meeting in the school.
We are really pleased to have you. Thank you for joining us.
All right, I guess I'll go with y'all. So, I'm State Senator Brian Kavanaugh. Good to see you all. Hello. So just a few quick updates. I know you got a busy agenda tonight, but first of all, you know, we legislate from January to June, and then we spend the rest of the year hoping the governor's gonna sign our bills. Sometimes negotiating for that. A few bills are signed recently. First of all, we made Lunar New Year a statewide school holiday. You know, obviously, people, many people in our community and all the state really want to, you know, emphasize that is profoundly significant for a lot of people. So we're very excited to be able to get that done. And I sponsored that bill. We also have recently, on September 11th, the governor signed our bill to require businesses that had employees here in downtown to notify their employees of the availability of the September 11th, you know, victim compensation fund and health funds. It's still the case that many people don't realize, I think, that although they're working here and they're exposed, they're not first responders, they're perhaps not sick also. But you know, there are benefits available, and we'll make sure to get that out as widely as possible. Again, the state will work with the businesses to figure out a smart and thorough way to do that. We also have a couple of bills that were signed. The governor signed a package of our bills in our efforts to continue to make our election laws work for people. So I spent a lot of time trying to get early voting in the state, and separately to get same-day registration. Same-day registration required a constitutional amendment, so we passed it in both those legislation, we sent it to the voters, and the voters voted it down. Because there's some very effective kind of right-wing campaigning upstate about this being about fraud and terrible things. But nonetheless, because early voting starts on a week, you know, it's a Saturday plus a week before election day, and we changed the law so you can register up to 10 days. Whereas now you can show up on the first day of early voting, register on that day and vote on that day. So we passed a law to make sure that's going to be available at the early voting centers and to sort of clarify how it'll work. So the boards will actually be able to implement it. We also have a couple of bills still pending that we're talking with the government about. We have a couple of bills tightening up the rent laws. There are a few, even though we closed many loopholes in 2019, there are a few notable gaps in those laws that we had to close. Although you're required as a landlord to register your apartments with the state, there's almost no penalty for not doing so. So we give lots of folks that just deregister and see what happens. So we create a structure for that. For combining apartments, make sure that they're not doing that for the purpose of dramatically increasing rents. And again, there have also been a few court cases that cause us, we feel, to clarify certain aspects of the law. So it's kind of a broad package. And again, that's something we're hoping to work with the government to get done. And we are now looking forward. Last year, I think we started the legislative session with some big plans around housing. Though there were some, we did a few significant things, but I think not stuff that is up to the moment, or the challenge of this moment. Enormous numbers of homeless people, obviously exacerbated by the migrant, enormous influx of migrants, and just more generally living in a place that has not produced enough housing over a long period. And the place being the entire metropolitan area, not just the city. And of course, inadequate protections for tenants, whether they're being threatened by people who are trying to wholesale evict the entire residency of given buildings, or people who can't pay their rent. So we are working through a whole series of things, and we're gearing up. We're having discussions with the mayor and the governor and colleagues in the legislature and lots of all the concerned parties about that, and hoping to have a robust housing agenda as the legislation approaches. Just a few local community issues. First of all, I think it was 2 days after your last July meeting that we had the announcement of the 5 World Trade Center deal. Many people in this room are very actively involved. I think all of you know, for a long time, a lot of us pushed to maximize affordability of that. We were able to get $65 million of new money and create a building that is a third affordable without doing something which some state agencies imposed, which was to sort of sacrifice the low end of the affordability. They had eliminated all the units that would have been available for 40% of people at 40% of the area median income as a way of trying to increase the number of affordable. We're maintaining lots of ability to keep it affordable, but also expanding, again, a 1,200 unit building, 400 will be affordable. And we have an agreement that people who are survivors of 9/11 will have preference for a significant number of these units at each sort of band of affordability. And we also have a deal that if additional money becomes available, and the opportunity there may well be some federal money that the LMDC still has, but if additional money available, both the state and the developer have agreed to have a good faith negotiation about providing affordability commensurate with additional money available. So it was a big win, and lots of people worked on it for a very long time. And Emily is here, and I and my office spent a lot of time working on this, and we're very proud of what we were able to accomplish today. Our 250 Water Street working group continues. This is to basically address all the environmental concerns around the cleanup of that site. And again, many members of this board are involved in that. And I think it's been a good process where we've given thorough oversight to cleanup and adequate assurance to the community that is being done properly. We're also having a conversation about another longstanding issue, the borough-based jail, through some pushing from some, again, people in this room and other community members and all of your elected officials. We have gotten the city to agree to reopen the process of getting comments on the design guidelines and all that stuff. They will be announcing a process to do that. And we're still having a conversation about the implications of the particular contracting method they're using and whether the community will have input at appropriate moments. But I think it has been a productive conversation, and we are seeing some favorable response there. Some of you may have gotten invitations to this, but we used to do the community convention, which is an exciting opportunity to get everybody in the district together to talk about all kinds of issues. Daniel Squadron, my predecessor, piloted this. We did it before. We haven't done it since before COVID, but basically we get everybody together in one place, a few speeches to everybody, kind of plenary format, and then breakout groups to talk about every major public policy issue, so neighbors can talk to each other and talk to us about priorities. And it's going to be at MS 131 on Hester Street, and it'll be on the October 15th, and doors open at 12. There'll be all kinds of community groups providing information. Program will kick off at 1. We do hope that both you can help get the word out, and also many of you can join us for that. We are doing free flu shot events around the district. We did one yesterday, co-sponsored with the CCBA in Chinatown. We're doing another with Hamilton Madison House on October 16th. It is, I think, as everyone knows, especially critical that we do a flu shot because of the COVID situation, and also we do have masks and testing for COVID. We have a large stockpile of those, so if you need them, if you're involved in an organization that needs them, we can get you supplies of those. I think we're at the early part of that season kicking in, but I think the assumption is that COVID is going to start functioning sort of like the flu season, and so we all need to pay attention. So I think I will stop there. I know you're busy, gentlemen. Thank you for the opportunity to talk with you, and happy to take questions if you have them.
Okay, remember, only one recognized. Cody goes first, then Justine, then Wendy. In that order, please.
I just have a quick question about the non-passage back a few months ago of Sammy's Law. And if you are optimistic or you have any idea whether or not a suite or a bill like that would allow New York City to lower its speed limits and hopefully impact the rise in pedestrian and cyclist deaths that we've seen in New York City over this past year. It's pretty alarming rise. And so, and it's a shame that didn't pass. And what do you think went wrong, and what do you see happening in the future?
It's hard to say. It was a very good, effective push. I was one of the people who advocated for reducing to 25 a few years ago, and street safety is important. But it's hard for me to. It's hard to assess the likelihood. I think there's a lot of advocacy, a lot of people interested in doing it. I just, and we do get there is some skepticism about how low you can go. But I think that it does feel like the sort of thing that localities ought to have an ability to do, and I don't see why we would. I personally support the state letting the city figure out what an appropriate limit is. But it's hard for me to handicap the likelihood of it.
Right. Okay.
Justine?
Thank you for everything you've done so far, Senator Kavanaugh. Of course, I have to ask about the Battery Park City and ask about the bills, the suite of bills for them, representation, if you're going to be bringing that back to have local representation, and then also the affordability bill about 150% of AMI.
Thank you for asking. So first of all, the first bill, for those who don't know, we passed a bill through both houses of legislature, basically changed the Battery Park City Board is currently 7 folks. Through some work of my predecessor, 2 of those are required to be residents of Battery Park City. We have asked the bill expanding the board to 9 and having 5 people be required to be residents of Battery Park City. The governor vetoed it.
Yes.
We have reintroduced it. I think it's fair to say that it's a battle. Governors don't like to sign things that constrain their ability to appoint people, but we will have active negotiations and keep people aware of that, and hopefully you can join us in advocating for that. I also had proposed a bill last year that would affect, there's been I think many of you know, right, in Battery Park City, people own the buildings, but not the ground. The ground is owned by the state agency that owns the place, and you pay ground rent for that, and those ground rents are reset periodically based on changes in market price. And that has made affordability more difficult for some people. I wrote a bill a couple of years ago, basically, that would effectively provide kind of a circuit breaker on increases of those, effectively freeze the ground rent, not for the building as a whole, but based on the portion of the people who live in the building and below a certain income, to effectively freeze their portion of the ground rent for the duration of the tenancy, provided they meet income restrictions. I think it does address, it does address a significant affordability issue. I think there were mixed reviews about whether that was something. I think some folks that were skeptical of that and want some grander bargain with the Battery Park City Authority, but it is something I will be pushing again this year, and I think it's very much worthwhile.
That would be great, and I'm hoping that Assembly Member Fall will be pushing it on the other end too in the Assembly, because it doesn't help everybody, but it certainly will help the lowest rung.
Right, and the current bill is written such that people up to 150% of the area median income would have their ground rent frozen indefinitely for the duration of their tenancy. So again, I think most people know this. We're back in session in January, so we have a few months before we can actually move bills, but we will be gearing up on that.
Thank you so much. And then, of course, good cause eviction, but you don't have to talk about that.
Well, we came close to a deal with a good cause eviction being the proposition that should not be evicted for no reason at all. I think you need a good reason. And I think it is critical to protect tenants' rights. And I mentioned before, we'll be looking to protect tenants' rights. That's one of the core protections we're looking for.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. So bravo with notifying the employers to go out to folks. I'm worried about the younger folks. A very prominent pediatrician in Tribeca who's been there since 9/11 has refused to do notifications. And they will, so I would like to ask that you go to every dentist, every pediatrician, I know the New York Public Schools have they've done things, preschools. There are a lot of kids that have no idea. So not only do adults not know, but the kids don't know. So I would love for you to expand it to, the pediatricians are the obvious ones.
Pediatricians to notify
Everybody on their
children who are
roster.
here now.
Yeah,
People who are children now.
So anyone who has been a patient of theirs who lived in Tribeca at that time, because there are records still.
Right, now that's what I was asking.
Yeah.
You're talking about notifying people who were there during the relevant period,
Correct.
and now maybe adults and not.
Correct.
And how to rate Park City.
Right,
Yeah.
and, I'm just trying to figure out how do you reach the kids that were here? So you've got the schools, but you actually have a lot of pediatricians.
It's interesting, 'cause honestly, we had a lot of conversations about various versions of notification, and that's the first I've heard that.
And
So that's
I
a
will
look
say,
at.
I've asked this particular pediatrician multiple times directly, why aren't you doing this? And they're like, we're not required to. And we don't want to get in that business. So, and I understand, but that's something that it would really help, I think.
I will, again, I haven't heard the others, but it's certainly interesting one, the.
But the employer thing is great, so thank you.
Okay, good, appreciate it.
Yeah, no, that's great. It's all good. I just want more.
No, I appreciate
Always want more. Who doesn't want more?
Long night. Anybody else have any questions for Senator Kavanaugh? Awesome, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Really appreciate coming. Emily, thank you for trying to help me to bail out, staying busy, really appreciate it. Okay, we have our 2 assembly member offices here, 1 in the room, 1 online, as is our preference. The person in the room gets to go first. So welcome 15 from Assembly Member Paul's office.
Hey, everyone. Thank you, Chair Meltzer, and everyone for being here. My name is Fatem Shabani, Chief of Staff to Assemblymember Charles Fall. Just wanted to quickly stop by. I'm also here with our Unity Liaison, Casey Brown. Just wanted to.
Loud, yeah,
You
talk louder.
have to make sure that your voice can hit that. If you look up here and it's not facing you, that means that the lovely owls don't hear you hooting.
Is it better over there?
No, you can be right there, it'll turn for you.
So just don't want to take up too much time. Just want to share some quick updates from our end. So for those of you that may be aware or not aware, starting this Sunday, riders of 5 New York City bus routes will ride free of charge for at least 6 months, thanks to the new NCA pilot program. The MTA carefully selected 1 route in each borough to study potential benefits and impacts on ridership, operations, and other factors. The Assemblyman had advocated for the bus S46 and 96 bus route, and it ended up getting approved by the governor to be included in the pilot program. And again, this pilot program was something that was advocated for in the most recent state budget. So just wanted to mention that. 2 weeks ago, during 9/11, we were happy to partner with the 9/11 Memorial and Museum in doing a 30-minute film screening on 9/11 with firsthand accounts on what took place on that day. And we were able to show this screening to students in our district. So it was a screening that, wasn't graphic or anything like that, of that nature, but, told the story from firsthand accounts of folks that, were able to survive on that day. And again, I think it just drove home the message of, obviously, to never forget. So it was just a successful film screening that we had, and we're actually looking forward to doing it again next year as well. So, and then early next week, we're planning to meet with the New York City EDC. We've gotten a lot of complaints from constituents on noises from helicopters. So we're planning to hold a meeting with them next week. What we do know at the moment, is that new technology is being looked at as far as noise reduction. But sort of the tricky factor here is, there's a lot of New Jersey helicopters that are coming in and riding in Lower Manhattan. And obviously, sort of the ask here would be for them to use the water and not sort of come into Lower Manhattan, but, obviously they have that jurisdiction from the FAA. So, and again, these are obviously all questions that we're gonna raise when we have this meeting with them early next week. So again, I think by the time the next, community board rolls around, I'm hoping to get, Assemblyman Paul here, in person so he can sort of update you guys on that meeting. And then lastly, we're working with law enforcement to address illegal vending, and harassment of false ticket sales at the Whitehall Street Ferry Station. We've been seeing it a lot here on the Manhattan side. Then obviously, for those of you that don't know, our district encompasses Staten Island, Lower Manhattan, and we have a little bit of Red Hook. So we're actually the only assembly seat with 3 boroughs. But as I mentioned, with the illegal vending and then the false ticket sales, we've noticed it here on the Manhattan side and as well as on the Staten Island side. So we're working with NYPD to sort of kind of figure out some sort of solution to address that immediately. But that's sort of the last thing to drive home. And then just to sort of echo Senator Kavanaugh, so the ground rent bill and most of the bills that he sort of launched in the last session, we've had so many of our bills that got backed up. So we weren't able to push those forward, but coming this session in January, we've co-sponsored pretty much all of them. So we're hoping that those go through on the assembly side and we'll have some good results for all of you. So thank you again for having me. Yes.
Don't worry, we'll call around the room. If you have a question for
Yes.
James, please stick up a hand so we can go in order. Mariama is first, and then Alice.
And another question. So I want everybody who is sort of like new to 9/11 issues and the community, civilians and officials, to learn the definition of survivor under Zadroga, because it's not the same thing as what a survivor might be, in your mind. There is a defined meaning as to who is a survivor and who is a responder in Zadroga. And my challenge is that the museum tends to categorize people who are not survivors as survivors and then center events around them. So then the tough question, why did your office or the Assemblyman's office choose to support the museum's events and not the community's, which was really about survivors under the law?
The community tribute, is that who you're from? We did support that, and the reason why we did choose to support the screening, and it wasn't sort of, yes, to sort of get into the whole definition of survivor. So in the film screening, it's available online. You can I can send it to all of you. It's 30 minutes, but it's first responders, families of first responders.
Right, first responders and families of first responders are not survivors. That's exactly my point. And everybody has their unique sort of position in relation to 9/11 and their experience.
Yeah.
And it's completely 3 different shared, 3 different, somewhat shared, but different experiences. First responders are specifically those who responded to the site. Whether you are actual NYPD or FDNY, you don't have to be. If you responded to that site, you may work at the Red Cross, you're a first responder. And so that might be what people think, not be what people would think, or, in their mind. You are a victim's family member if somebody, a loved one, perished on that day, sadly. You are a victim's family member. You are a survivor if you lived, worked, went to school, perhaps visited, were a tourist in the area during the period from 9/11/2001 to May 31st, 2002. So it's a completely different cohort of people. And when events are centered around people from elsewhere on 9/11 in our neighborhood, it is hurtful.
What do you mean by elsewhere?
If I may.
People that are not
Stop. I think what would be probably really helpful is if perhaps you and the assembly member met with a couple of the 9/11 survivors from the 9/11 community as defined by the way the law defines it, and we understand it, and have a dialogue. And I invite you to do that so you can catch up to speed on Lower Manhattan, basically on that side.
I understand, I'm just trying to get a better understanding, so your comment, right? And then I think you had a question as to why we chose to do it.
Because I was under the impression that, I apologize if I'm wrong. I thought that, my understanding was that the Assemblyman chose to be a part of the museum's event, but not to sign on to the community's event.
No,
So
he
I was-
actually didn't.
He signed on,
Yeah.
but the museum told us that he had withdrawn his support of it.
Okay, so that's the.
I think he spoke with you, and I think that was
Yeah.
sort of.
Okay, so that's what it was
But-
communication.
Yeah, but.
So you think you support
Yeah,
it?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you.
And to get to your comment, so the reason why we did choose to do the screening is there's obviously a lot of, the newer generation that has not lived or was not born around that time, right? This was such an impactful event.
Yes,
To
no, I'm not
somebody.
opposed to you doing the screening. I
Okay, no,
just
'cause I
want
thought-
people to understand that those people that you mentioned are not survivors. So when you go and say, we're doing this event with 9/11 survivors, and that's who was there, first responders and victims' families, those are not 9/11 survivors. 9/11 survivors, under the law, again, are people who lived, worked, went to school, were perhaps tourists or visitors on 9/11 during the period. We are not responders, we're not victims' families, we're the survivors. Under the oath.
Again, maybe it's just me, I'm just not understanding like what
You
your
said the
actual
film
question
was
is.
about first.
Okay,
Let it go.
Mariama,
Let's
I
go.
hear you. I think that there's a dialogue that we can be had to understand legal definitions and what is and what isn't, and go forward from there, because there is a lot of confusion
And emotion.
and emotion. Alice, you're next.
Another confusing and emotive topic. Could you at some point, could the assembly member come to us and talk a little bit about a question that's out there and has been for many years, which is the relationship of the Staten Island and the borough-based jail program? It's something that, because as you know, the mayor has considered the plans today not particularly good, and has in fact called for a plan B. And some people have talked about Staten Island, again, as a borough that might be able to take on some of the detainees. So it'd be really helpful to know where Staten Island is with this, why it didn't take any detainees. It was never very clear to many people. I think it'd be helpful now that you're representing this part of our district. And additionally, also talk about the mental health component. You know, over 50% of people housed in Rikers have mental challenges. So and I know that Staten Island has a great deal of mental challenge facilities, thank you. It would be really helpful to hear more about what this part of your borough has in terms of those facilities, just so we are a little more educated, and also just really answering the question vis-a-vis the borough-based jail. Thanks, if you can.
Justine, you're next.
I'm just gonna be quick to sum up both of them. I think that both issues, topics would be benefit from having a sit-down conversation to make an understanding and have a communication back and forth, so that this way there's some information provided and questions asked, so everybody could be on the same page. Because especially when it comes to the jails, that's clearly gonna be butting heads with different sides. And I know where Mariama is trying to go with her questions, and it just would be better to have a conversation quietly, because it is so painful to so many of us, and it's so easy to offend without meaning to, because we're so sensitive. So I just want to say that.
And I think that we will follow up.
Yeah.
Reach with me, we'll get it scheduled and we'll move on.
And thank you.
Thank you, Justine. Thank you, Christine. How many? I promise it's not always so lively. Sorry. All right, we move on to our next assembly member, Representative Jasper Scott from Assembly Member Lee's office. Jasper, you are a panelist, so you can unmute yourself.
Hi guys, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Sounds good. Thank you for having me tonight and allowing me to speak, even if I'm not there in person. I have just a couple updates from Assemblymember Lee's office. A lot of it was touched on by Senator Kavanaugh, including some of the bills that have passed. Assemblymember Lee was very proud to kind of lead the effort for the Lunar New Year bill that that Senator Kavanaugh mentioned earlier tonight. The governor is slated to be signing another bill that we sponsored tomorrow, barring any last-minute changes, which is a bill that will extend the work of New York State's Interagency Task Force on Human Trafficking, which is a state-level group set up to prevent human trafficking in New York and then assist survivors of human trafficking. In other legislative updates, earlier in the year, we were able to secure a record $389 million to help or to pay the ERAP program, the backlog of ERAP program applications that have been unpaid for public housing residents during COVID. So that's basically rental arrears that have piled up and were unpaid by the state. And so those were approved a while back in spring, but we have just received word that the state is starting to process them. So if you or anyone you know is a public housing resident that has a pending application with the ERAP program and is owed money from the state to pay off COVID-related rental arrears, our office can assist with speeding up that process to receive that money as fast as possible. So we invite anyone to come to us with that. Finally, just on the event side of things, I know Senator Kavanaugh also mentioned the flu shot events that we have helped to run across Lower Manhattan. We did one yesterday, and the next one is going to be on Monday, October 16th, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Hamilton Madison House. And these events are free for the public for flu shots with priority access to those without healthcare coverage. So yeah, those are the updates for Assemblymember Lee, and that'll be all. Thank you guys so much.
Does anybody have any questions in the room for Assemblymember Lee's office? Okay, thank you very much. Moving on from the Assembly, from the state legislature to the city, we have Moshe. Did I say that right? I apologize if I really butchered your name. Moshe Davis from Mayor Adams' office.
Hi, am I unmuted?
Yes, you are.
Reading. Yep, now I am. Okay, great. Hi, everyone. Welcome, Moshe Davis, Senior Liaison at Mayor's Adams Community Affairs Unit. And I just want to give you a few updates. I'll be really brief. First thing about migrants, the mayor has been pushing for temporary protected status for migrants in New York City. And right now we have one response from the White House for Venezuelan asylum seekers who have arrived before July 31st, that they will receive this temporary protected status. Very excited about this, and hopefully more will come with more advocacy. Regarding the budget that's being affected from this crisis, we have announced a 5% cuts through agencies for a program to eliminate the gap, to make sure that the budget is still balanced. Community boards will be exempt from these cuts. And just one more thing I just want to mention to everyone, the mayor has launched an initiative to text him directly. You can just send a text to this number, and someone from the office will respond to you. The number is 917-909-2288. Send a text issues, and the office will get back to you. So that's 917-909-2288.
What was it?
Can you repeat that number, please?
Sure. 917
Yeah.
909-2288.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, and please, everybody, just wait to the end of the meeting. Let's just get through it, okay?
Before we test.
So yeah, that's it. That's for my updates. Anyone any questions or comments? Feel free.
We do have a couple of questions in the room. Bob Townley, then Wendy Chapman.
When does the 5% cut to the agencies take effect?
November.
And would that include contracts that are already signed with the city, that they would revise the contracts?
From my understanding, that this is going to be up to each agency to create a plan.
Right.
I'm hoping that current contracts will not be affected. but I guess it will be up to the agencies to define exactly how they will create that 5%.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, I just wanted to ask a question. Last Thursday, or actually all last week was, Climate Week, and there was the Resiliency Expo downtown, and I was just wondering, I don't think it was particularly well attended, unfortunately. I'm just curious what the mayor is gonna do on the front of, to promote more resiliency efforts. I know he has a lot on his plate, but I'm asking if he could be more present. So, and I'm curious about his reaction to Mark Levine's plan, but that's probably for another meeting. Thank you.
Got it. So the mayor has just announced Elijah Hutchinson as the executive director, the mayor's Office of Climate and Environmental Justice. So we are hoping that there will be a lot more advocacy and a lot more work within climate and environmental programs, and maybe there will be more visibility there as we have an executive director running that initiative.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Remember, we've got 3 more elected offices to go and a presentation. Yes,
Yes.
Justine?
Yes, I'm gonna be really quick. Thank you so much for being here, and it's nice to have this phone number to text. I'm gonna make it specific to Battery Park City, because I'm the chair of the Battery Park City Committee. Part of the way the ground rent and the finances in Battery Park City is decided in terms of the joint purpose fund, as well as just the finances, is as an agreement between the mayor's office, the comptroller's office, and the Battery Park City Authority. The Battery Park City Authority shows up at every Battery Park City Committee meeting. The comptroller's office has come and sat quietly, not spoken, and I wouldn't expect anything different from the mayor's office, to listen in when we're talking about things that are important about the ground rent. And I would love to be able to have the mayor's office represented too, because it really is a decision when we come to making any kind of reform on the ground rent that is going to take a compromise on the part of the mayor, the comptroller, and the Battery Park City Authority. So I would invite you to come. Thank you.
Sure, 100%. We will make sure that we have a representative at our office whenever possible. Thanks for
Thank you.
bringing that to my attention, and we'll be in touch about that.
Okay, seeing no other hands up in the room and no board members online, thank you very much. And next, we're gonna move to Max from Councilmember Marte's office. And I'll take one.
Everyone, good to see you all. So I know we've heard a lot of elected updates. I'll try and keep it quick. So starting on the legislative front, very exciting. Last week we had a hearing on our Road to Freedom Act. This would establish a freedom trail in Lower Manhattan and citywide, which would basically commemorating and preserving historical sites that were part of the Underground Railroad or abolitionist movement. The Lower Manhattan Freedom Trail is something that Community Board 1 actually, wrote a resolution in support of in 2012. So this has been a long time coming. Yeah, there's just so much forgotten history throughout the city. So we're hoping this bill will, just give us the opportunity to learn, what sites are out there and, really make it accessible to the public. And then on the community front, we're happy to celebrate the reopening of the Washington Market Park basketball courts with Community Board 1 and BMCC and the Parks Department. And wanted to say again, thanks to Let Do, which I think I'm pronouncing their organization correctly. They kind of came to us and, wanted to beautify the park. And, it's a beautiful park now that, people from all over the city can enjoy and play basketball there. We also attended, the council member attended the FIDI Seaport Expo to learn more about the proposed resiliency plans for the Seaport and FIDI. And just, we really want to make sure that there is community feedback, and our office's main concern is preserving the Battery Maritime building and making sure it's still public. But we are going to, our office is open. If there are issues that you have, concerns that you have with the resiliency plans, please contact our office, make sure we know. And then kind of two really exciting initiatives that we're happy to announce. So first, people may not be aware, when the Parks Department plants a street tree, and the trees you see on the street, they stop taking care of it after 2 years. So what happens is a lot of these trees just die because no one's taking care of them, which is why we've just launched our tree adoption program. So, and I can send this link to Tammy or whoever, so it can be sent to the entire community board in the newsletter. But basically, we have a website. It's a tree map. So we've mapped every single tree in the district, and you can choose the tree you want to adopt. It costs nothing to adopt, and that means you can take care of it. That might mean either you just water the tree, or you can really, go all in garden, buy mulch, weed the tree, make it look nice. It's just a really good way to preserve the trees we have, because so many just needlessly die or just kind of fall apart because no one's weeding them, no one's really taking care. And so just, as we think of climate change, this is just a really important initiative. And then lastly, very exciting, if you are sick and tired of those green mesh wire trash bins that are rusting at the bottom and the rats eat through and they're overflowing, starting tomorrow morning, we are going to be one of the first council districts to get the new DSNY Better bins. So these are going to be new bins that that are rat proof. They are bigger, so they can hold more trash. They won't overflow. They're easier for the sanitation workers to unload. So it's just going to mean cleaner streets, fewer rats, and faster sanitation service. And again, this is something that we allocated funding for a year and a half ago. So we're really excited to finally see them play starting tomorrow morning. It won't be, this is again just the beginning of it. So you're not going to see them everywhere, but there are a bunch throughout Community Board 1. And again, we're one of only 11 council districts getting this first wave. So it's, really great that we're getting it. And then, yeah, with that, I'll take any questions. Oh, wait, I'm having trouble hearing you.
Nice and loud, Bruce, to the center of the table, please.
Do the new bins require any kind of physical contact like some of the recycling bins do, where people have to put their hands on rotting handles?
Yeah, I believe, these are just kind of still open, open top. You can just throw the trash in.
Anybody, Betty, and then Joel.
Thank you. I read about the legislation for the Underground Railroad sites, and I think that's a great idea. I was just looking at, this could be off target, but has anyone talked about also putting in some of the cemeteries from that era and earlier? In fact, I was talking, we have an African burial ground, of course, in our district. But
Yeah,
I
so
knew
they,
that I was
sorry, go ahead.
complaining about, they had some sites, even from the Dutch era, where there were no slaves from that era, and they were putting tarmac over them.
Yeah, so kind of, one of the things that our bill hopes to do is help preserve a lot of these places where, again, it might just be kind of in small little cemetery now, but if it's part of this larger, giant citywide Freedom Trail program, that can just help with future preservation efforts because it's, really rooted and has this kind of, kind of cemented in this program with its historic plaque, part of this entire, kind of tourist destination. So, this is more, also, there is a big preservation aspect to this.
I'm curious what will happen to the trees that aren't adopted, and why they aren't cared for now by the city.
Yeah, so,
Why-
I believe the reason why they aren't, it's just, I assume it's, I assume this is the city rule, not saying I agree with it. It's, in terms of resources, probably too costly to upkeep every single tree themselves. And, and I think part of the reasoning is they say, oh, once it reaches 2 years, it's fine on its own, which obviously, maybe in nature that's the case, but isn't really the case in a city. Yeah, so the trees that aren't adopted, some do live, a lot of the street trees do live, but, this is just a kind of a way to make sure that as many trees as possible can stay alive, and more than just alive, but are actually cared for and, weeded and mulched and all the things that kind of keep it healthy.
Okay, but the responsibility is still on the city, correct?
Yes, if a street tree dies, it's still on their responsibility to, replace it and everything. But yeah, once it reaches those 2 years, these are trees that, yeah, now anyone in the public can kind of adopt and care for themselves. Just kind of make sure after those 2 years, they're still getting the care it needs.
Mimi?
So you're expecting people that adopt the trees to buy mulch from somewhere and then put it?
Yeah, if you want to, the care can also be just watering it. It's, it's whatever, kind of people want it to be. But yeah, again, yeah, ideally the city would just do it, but, while they're not doing it, we've already had, some tree adoptions on more on the Lower East Side. It's been a thing. It's been very successful. So yeah, we're hoping, yeah, this can at least give us something until the city's willing to take care of them themselves.
I don't have any other board members in the room who would like to ask a question.
Laura.
Laura, go ahead.
So the trees, I'm wondering, is there a way to like pay into a communal fund and hire professionals to take care of the trees?
That's something I mean, I know it's like on the Lower East Side, like the LES Ecology Center had something similar, like as an organization, they've been adopting trees and caring for them.
Yeah.
So I think that definitely, reach out to our office and see if there's, a way we can do that more on the west side.
I mean, I think that makes more sense because the trees really, really require, a real arborist to care for them and to see if they have disease and know when to water them and all of that.
Yeah, and I know,
Okay.
Oh, sorry, yeah, go ahead.
I have two other hands up in the room.
Okay,
and
thanks.
We're gonna, because I've got somebody else, over here first and then Joe.
I'm just gonna say, they are guaranteed for the first 2 years, so if they do die in that time, the city's contractor will replace them.
Fantastic. Joe?
What's the recycle plan for the existing trash bins?
That I'm
there
not
one-
sure. Yeah, that we have to check in with DSNY on that. I'm sure they have some plan, but I'm not sure.
Okay, alrighty. I think we're good. Anybody else have any questions for Max from Councilmember Marte's office? Seeing none, we're gonna move on. I do want to say an apology to the controller's office because Evelyn was online. Unfortunately, for some odd reason, she was screen sharing as she was trying to fix her audio. And so to protect her privacy, to ensure that nothing got shared, we booted her. So because we couldn't stop her screen share. So if she comes back at any point during the meeting, just know that we will recognize her to speak and we apologize. So with that, knowing that, our last public official who is on, I believe, is Lupe from the Public Advocate's Office.
Hello.
Lupe, you're here.
Here.
Hi, welcome, thanks for being in person.
No problem, thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Lupe Hernandez. I'm one of the community organizers for education opportunity with the New York City Public Advocate's Office. And we thank you. I just want brief office updates. The Public Advocate and our team, we've been working on some of the most pressing issues in our city, including our asylum seekers. Our office has traveled to DC for a second time. We've been very actively urging the federal action of resources. We've been calling for continued throughout the 5 boroughs. We've been touring, we actually were part of the touring of Roosevelt Hotel and other shelter sites. We've been calling on all levels of government to collaborate and provide aid for our migrants. No one should be living under the conditions of our current temporary shelters, and that city cannot end, we cannot end that. This crisis alone is not one for any particular government to bear, but all of us together. Separately, we work together throughout the summer to collaborate with community organizations on gun violence prevention. And we're very heartened that the mayor has announced a new blueprint to combat gun violence, which centers the work of these groups and the need for enhanced services like housing, healthcare, and education in neighborhoods most affected by this violence. Some legislative updates we have over the summer. The Public Advocate and his team passed legislation encouraging green city building projects across the city. The law will help to incentivize clean energy projects by expanding the kinds of buildings eligible for these incentives. And we are encouraging investing in sustainability projects that will ultimately decrease emissions throughout New York City. We continue to work on passing critical legislation, including an enforceable ban on solitary confinement, requirements for housing violations to be addressed more quickly, and the requirement for NYPD to be more transparent about all stops. And just as a reminder, our Public Advocate has passed more laws, I could say more than 20 since taking office, and that is more than all of the previous Public Advocates combined. A lot of events that we've been to have already passed, but we will participating in the Immigration Know Your Rights workshop that Borough President Mark Levine will be hosting in CEC District 4 on October 5th. And we are also welcoming and celebrating the Hispanic Heritage Month. So thank you for having us, and feel free to have any questions.
Anybody have any questions for the Public Advocate's Office? Thank you very much. Thank you for being here in person. We truly appreciate that. It makes it so much smoother. And just so everybody knows, there will be a right to counsel presentation done in I think, quality of life in October, so there we go. Alrighty, with all of the updates from our electeds gone, we want to welcome Pascal Bernard, the Deputy Director of Intergov Affairs, and Philip Rumsey, who's the Manager of Intergovernmental Outreach from the Office of Cannabis Management. We have our first cannabis application that'll come before a licensing committee in October. So it'll be new, and it's a new world, yeah. So, Pascal, I leave it to you. Do you have the slides that you are gonna operate from your side, you and Philip, or do you want us to run the slideshow from our side?
No, Phil will run the slides for us.
Great. There we go. Welcome, and thank you so much. Perfect.
Okay, so we'll just dive right in. Next slide, please. So we'll talk about adult use licenses. On September 12th, 2023, the Cannabis Control Board approved the adult use regulation. Applications for adult use license types will be available on New York Business Express site. The applications for these licenses will begin October 4th of 2023, so that's next week. And it closes Monday, December 4th of 2023. An adult use dispensary applicant with proof of control over a retail location will be on a track to go through an earlier November 3rd, 2023 approval process. Next slide, please. And these are the license types we have that will open up on the 4th: the retail dispensary, the cultivator, the processor, the distributor, and the micro business. And the dispensary will sell directly to consumers. Cultivator will grow. Processor will extract concentrated cannabis and compounds for manufacturing. Distributors will be wholesale distributors and on-site consumption and delivery services. And the micro business is kind of ecosystem of all of those things. So there'll be cultivator, processor, distributor, or retailer. Next slide, please. And so here we have in New York State, we have a tiered system, and this is what it looks like. We have the supply tier, which encompasses cultivator, nursery, distributor, processor. We have the retail tier, which is dispensary, on-site consumption, lounges, and delivery. Then we have the medical tier with our registered organization, and we have the laboratory tier, which is our sampling firms. And no person may have direct or indirect interest across tiers. This includes any stock options, stock ownership, I'm sorry. Next slide, please. And so in order to have a healthy cannabis ecosystem, we need all these ancillary businesses helping the cannabis industry. And so these are examples of businesses that operate that would support the cannabis industry. If you have any of these businesses and wish to support the cannabis industry, you do not need a license from the Office of Cannabis Management to do so. You just need to be able to turnkey your business to be able to service the industry. Next slide, please. Conditional adult use. Next slide. And so the conditional system, we just talked about the adult use, which were the different license types that we kind of went over. The conditional licenses or a standalone ecosystem. And so we have the adult use conditional cultivator license, the adult use conditional processor license, and the conditional adult use retail dispensary license, which we call CARD. Next slide, please. And so to be eligible for the conditional adult use retail dispensary license, which is again CARD, the individual must, had to have a New York State cannabis related conviction and experience owning or operating a qualifying business, or could have been a nonprofit. And so that nonprofit had to intentionally be servicing justice involved people and engage in social enterprise and meet other related conditions. And so the dispensaries that are currently open fall into one of these two buckets. Next slide, please. What is the Cannabis Growers Showcase? Next slide. So the Cannabis Growers Showcase, we call it CGS, is a temporary cannabis retail sales program. It will run through January 21st of 2024. It allows licensed cannabis cultivators to showcase cannabis at events where licensed dispensary owners can sell cannabis products directly to consumers. Once approved by OCM, Cannabis Growers Showcase events can occur at farms, processing location, or other OCM approved events. Next slide, please. The Growers Showcase must obtain approval from the Office of Cannabis Management before the event, demonstrate compliance with all applicable sales and local laws and regulation, must submit a letter of approval from the municipality where the Growers Showcase will take place, meet location requirements, including proximity to schools, houses of worship, medical and adult use cannabis retail dispensaries, and municipal approval. And for more information, people can email cgsinfo@ocm.ny.gov. Next slide, please. So what the showcases are not, it's not an on-site consumption event. There are no opportunities for unlicensed individuals or businesses to sell cannabis, and not authorized for growers and cultivators and processors to make sales directly to consumers. Next slide, please. The role of the community boards and municipalities. Next slide. So, per cannabis law, community boards and municipalities are allowed the opportunity to express an opinion on whether they support the Cannabis Control Board's approval of a retail dispensary, on-site consumption, or registered organization with dispensing license in their area. Community boards do not have a role in other cannabis license types, such as nursery, cultivator, processor, distributor. Next slide, please. People or businesses who apply for a retail dispensary or on-site consumption need to submit a notification that their proposed location is within the boundaries of the municipality or community board prior to filing their application. The municipal or community board opinion will become part of the record upon which the Cannabis Control Board shall grant or deny an application for a cannabis license. Applicants should afford the appropriate amount of time needed for the municipality or community board to opine on the proposed cannabis location. Next slide, please. An applicant for a retail dispensary or on-site consumption license needs to submit a notification that their proposed location is within the boundaries of the community board prior to filling out their application. Filing of an application is not when an applicant fills out the application and sends it to the office. Filing of an application is when OCM can confirm completion of the following: all requirements related to format, signature, oath, or affirmation have been properly submitted, all copies of documents provided as the office may require, all requested and required disclosures have been properly submitted, all required consent waivers, fingerprint responses, photographs have been properly submitted, all information, documentation, attestation, assurances, and other materials required have been submitted with the application, and all fees have been paid. Next slide, please. I'll now turn it over to Phil, and he'll walk you guys through this part of our presentation.
Okay, perfect. What I want to end with here is the OCM enforcement activities. We know that this has been a huge issue, certainly within your community board, but across the state. We've given these presentations in all corners of the state. And this has certainly been coming up since the beginning. One of the reasons is that OCM was working originally off the MRTA, or the Marijuana Regulation and Taxation Act. And that gave us only very limited power over what we could do with these illicit sites that were coming up. Under that, under the MRTA, the Marijuana Regulation and Taxation Act that was passed in March of 2021, our enforcement division had been conducting investigations on these illicit stores. We were partnering with law enforcement and DAs in different parts of the state, certainly working a lot with the New York City Sheriff's Office on this, and creating some multi-agency task force. And a lot of what they were doing were, what OCM was doing was visiting the illicit stores, issuing these cease and desist letters, and making sure they were, understood that they were in violation of the law, and assisting law enforcement in their in our investigations of the illicit stores. So we had a big change to this when in the state fiscal year 2023-2024 budget established a much broader and much more robust framework that OCM could operate under. One of the things that changed was it empowered OCM to take enforcement actions against businesses selling cannabis without the required license. So these sticker shops that have been popping up all over the city, we were now given the ability to go after them. Previously, we could only investigate places that had a license from OCM, which, as you can quickly realize, defeats the purpose of, or defeats the, does not give us the right ability to go after these places when these places were operating without a license from the Office of Cannabis Management. It did give OCM the ability to inspect all businesses selling and giving away cannabis. That's new to us, and allow us to inspect these businesses using a court order if they did not allow us to move forward with the inspection. We can now seize cannabis as well, and we can assess civil penalties along with the New York State Department of Tax and Finance. So closing these stores, since the beginning, OCM has had the ability to cancel or suspend licenses that we give out. However, again, this problem is really rooted in the fact that people are moving forward without any license from the state, without being going through the proper procedures. So we now have the authority to conduct regulatory inspections, including vehicles used within the business, if we know that they are engaging in activities that would require a license. So that includes anyone advertising or claiming medical cannabis, adult use cannabis, cannabis products, cannabinoid hemp extract. So it really broadened our ability to focus and go after the illicit shops, which until recently we just did not have the legal authority to do so. And this includes any product that is marketed as such and stored, distributed, or sold by any person. So if they're claiming to be selling a cannabis product, we can assume that they are and act accordingly. Additionally, and this is something that we've put out since the beginning, any legal cannabis store will have this sticker out front. It's about 12 inches tall. It's quite prominent, and an individual can just scan their phone QR code, and it will tell you whether or not this is a legal store. And, you know, moving forward, we do need assistance from community members identifying illicit shops. And this might sound, you know, like a weak response, but one of the first things we need to do is send out cease and desist letters to the suspected violators. And, you know, under the new powers that we have, this allows us to ramp up the fines against the businesses and take more aggressive action. But it really starts with the cease and desist letter that, you know, we have to prove that we reached out and contacted these illicit stores. In order to do that, we do need some assistance. And this link that will be included in the PowerPoint when we send it back to you, you know, any information you can send to us, name of business, time of any illicit activity, pictures. We don't want anyone putting themselves in any kind of danger. You don't need to take pictures. You don't need to actually see anything being passed from one person to another. But if you suspect that a store is selling illegally, going to this incident report and at the very least giving us a name and address, the name of the business and an address, will help kick this off and allow us to really start to crack down on these illicit stores. So with that, real quick, we do have any upcoming events you would like us to be aware of. You can send to events@ocm.ny.gov. And for regular updates, you can go right to our website, cannabis.ny.gov. And you'll see rather prominently on the website a way to put in your email and receive updates from us. With that, I will stop the presentation on our end. And
Philip,
yes.
Philip Pascal, I hate to tell you, the minute you said any questions, it was like somebody lit the room on fire and every hand went up. So let's be really cautious and careful. We're gonna do 1 minute apiece for questions. I'm gonna ask you to hold down. I know this is a hot topic. This is extremely important to us.
So
I'm also gonna ask.
I'm sorry, before we go down the road, so we will be here until 8 o'clock. So that gives us like 15 minutes. So if people can really be concise with their questions, that would be helpful.
That's exactly what I just said, Pascal. So no problem. But I also, we're gonna recognize Susan Cole first because she's our chair of licensing. And I am going to welcome one of the OCM representatives potentially to have a conference call with us so we can be prepared for when we have our licensing meeting in October. So just know that hopefully we can touch base on that tomorrow or Thursday. Okay.
Actually, if you could just send us dates for that.
Yep, we're gonna go in order I just need you to keep your hands up if you raised them. And remember, 1 minute. Susan Cole, you go first.
I just have one question. How many staff do you have to do this work for this enforcement? How many do you have in each borough in the city? And how many do you have in the state?
So we don't have a hard number for you top of mind simply because our enforcement team is our fastest growing team and they continue to bring on new hires. Additionally, we work in, as was discussed in the slides, we work in tandem with local law enforcement. And so that includes NYPD, Sheriff's Department, and local DAs. And so, you know, we're always working in partnership. Additionally, here in the city, sometimes because we work in an interagency fashion, DOH, MH is part of that, as well as Department of Worker Protection.
So Pasquale, I still would like to know, since it's our area, it's Manhattan, how many staff do you have here?
So
yeah, we can't give out, I mean, we can't, based on our enforcement division, they've said many times, they can't give out detailed numbers. They don't want that operational ability to be known. And as Pascal said, they are growing, but we they don't tell us the exact number and they don't want it out in the public. We have offices in Buffalo, Albany, and New York, and out of Manhattan. And they are stationed around the state.
Okay, Cody, you're next, and then Bob Townley, and then who else, who I have? Rosa, Andrea, and you're gonna be our final, right?
Take us home.
All right, let's go in that order, 1 minute, quick.
I'll be quick, and I'm sorry I don't know more about this, but do landlords who rent to these illegal stores bear any responsibility in this issue? And if so, what are you or this agency doing to work with landlords or to find them as you are finding the businesses?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of our response to the illicit stores is really, think of it as kind of building blocks. And we start off with a cease and desist letter, start off with an investigation to prove it's going on. We can send individuals in there. Landlords do get pulled in, but that's a little bit somewhat towards the top of these kind of building stairs, for lack of a better reference. So yeah, they can be fined. And we can send you additional material on enforcement and how that really builds. But landlords can be pulled in. It's just we have a lot, different municipalities have greater protections for landlords depending on where you are, and that does play a role in what exactly we can do. But we can send you additional, more detailed information on when they get involved, because depending on where they are in the investigation, it triggers different amount of fines going to different individuals involved in the enterprise.
Please send us, please send us that information.
Additionally, our office engages in education for landlords so that they understand, our enforcement laws. And also the Manhattan DA's office also has done some work around this area. And so they're also, again, one of the law enforcement agencies that we work with. And so they're doing a lot of work around the Peace with Landlords as well.
Bob?
So I got a lot to say, but I'm going to sort of narrow the focus. A problem in your stores. THC levels are not clearly defined in your stores. The store that I visited had an 18% as the lowest THC offered, and that is considered high. There was nothing in the low range of below 12% offered in that store. So what's happening is that people are getting a hold of very potent marijuana. And I worked in Rockefeller University on the rollout of methadone maintenance. So I'm not new to this, but you are not in your stores educating the public. Punto.
Thank you, Bob.
Well,
Wait, I'd
thank
like
you
to hear a
for
response.
thank you for flagging that. Without knowing exactly where you went, it's hard for us to really fully answer. And I'm not. Can I finish, please? Thank you.
Yes.
And so I think we can finish. You can provide us with more information via email about where you went, and then we can look into it. But they're supposed to have different level. They're supposed to have products with different levels of THC, and the second public education campaign we did was, go low, start slow. And it was educating the public to start at a lower THC level and to go slow with their consumption of it. And so if that's not happening, we'd like to hear more about it.
I think it's not my job, in full respect. It's your job since you're the people licensing these places. And I think it's important that you look into it I'd be happy to look into it. I assume it's the same in all of your stores.
So I'm not asking you to look into it. What I asked was if you can send us via email the name of the store. If that's not something you want to do, that's fine. We will talk to our inspection team and ask them to just go around and visit all the stores and pay particular attention to the THC.
I would love to know what your lowest requirements are for THC in stores. I'd love to know what you are. It would be, I know it's just a rollout, in full respect, but at some point, you have to look at these levels. At some point, you have to look at these levels.
Is there something in the law that you know of that mandates a certain level of THC? Because this is a store that.
Sorry, that's what has to be in the law.
They're not.
Oh, you're saying to change the law in order to.
Well, I don't know if there's a law that mandates the levels. I don't know. I'm just saying that the levels of THC that are being sold in most of the stores is very high and very unobservable.
So I think the way to redirect Bob Townley's question, Phil, is there a rulemaking opportunity with OCM to put levels in that exists that we can therefore then do a resolution on? Would that be a possible rulemaking that we could ask OCM to develop?
I think you could certainly pass a resolution, yes. And as far as, specific THC levels, they are on the package. And I don't know of anything that mandates something that has to be at 5% THC versus, a vape that can get up to 78%. I get that might be a preference, but I don't know of anything in the law that mandates that. That's why I was asking where it was.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Rosa, you're next.
Hi, I would to know what is the time period or the period of time between when you start looking at these illegal vendors and actually shut them down? Because we have such a proliferation of illegal vendors in our neighborhood down here. And I don't know if it's because it's close to educational facilities
Well
or.
over 3 dozen.
It's insane. You literally can't walk more than 50 steps without bumping into another one, and then 20 steps to the next one. It's crazy. And obviously none of them are legal in our neighborhood, since you're coming to us telling us how you would actually get one to be legal in our neighborhood. So given that, how long is it gonna take?
So we continue to engage in enforcement activities in your community and in communities across the state. It's hard to really give you a timeline of how long it takes from the time of inspection to closure, simply because each case is individual and there could be, several variables that may cause something to go longer or go shorter, and it all depends on the investigation. So we can't give you a specific timeline. And I know that that's a frustrating answer and it's not satisfactory. I acknowledge that.
Is in our neighborhood right now. So all of the ones that are here are illegal. So if you work off the assumption that every single one that is currently open is illegal, then how long, what's the process?
I tell you what we need, because we started this back, I don't know, over a year ago with Justine going through and reporting. And at that time, that was a DCWP report.
Yeah.
Now OCM has the process. I don't think, as far as I can tell, any of the information we gave to DCWP made it to OCM. So welcome to recreating the wheel again. And again, Pascal or Philippe, Philip, you can tell me if I'm wrong. Any of the places that we reported through DCWP has not been then ported over to OCM for enforcement, correct?
We would have to ask our enforcement team what kind of communication they've had. I mean, it sounds like you don't believe anything was transferred over. So, yeah, I mean, I can't speak to something that specific. I don't know if it was passed over from the agency to ours.
If you could check that out and update CB1 for exactly which ones you have listed in our community, we'd be happy to help augment with the list that we have. And I'm gonna move to the next person, which was Dr. Jill.
So-
One question. Since
And
So,
your
I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I just in full transparency, we may not be able to tell you these are the ones that we have simply because the way the investigation process works, we're not really able to share out. So I think what would work better is if we work with the staff at the board and get all the information that you've already submitted, and then we can pass it on to our enforcement team. I think that would be the better course of action.
Be happy to do that. I do think that there needs to be trackable data, like you can track 311 data. The community board office can pull data from 311. We need that same kind of transparency with the Office of Cannabis Management. So if somebody calls and says, hey, do you know if this location has been reported? We need to be able to say yes or no. That is the same opportunity we have with the SLA. It's the same opportunity with 311. We need that transparency. However you feel that happens or can happen, please advise the office this week. That would be great. And I'm gonna move to Andrea, Dr. Ju.
Would you be able to tell us like how many shops you've been able to close since you've had the legal authority to investigate and disrupt? Just in Manhattan. I'm not asking for statewide or anywhere else. In Manhattan, or even specifically in Lower Manhattan, have you been able to, to investigate and look into their cars and see what's going on? Because I walked by a weed shop and it's literally a block and a half from middle school. It's open at 8 in the morning. These kids are walking back and forth and it's still there. It's been there for 2 years. So, I know people have reported it, but it's still there. So I'm just wondering, they sell gummies. It looks really nice and inviting to these, 4th graders walking by. Why is it still there? If there have been multiple reports, have you guys been able to close anything? Or is it just kind of like we're just writing emails to the wind?
I know, I can hear the frustration in your question, and I recognize that. You're not just writing the emails in the wind.
Any stores? Have you been able to close any
Pascal,
stores
can
through
you-
your investigations? That's.
It's a
yes or no
basic
answer.
question. Have you been able to close any stores in Manhattan based on the OCM enforcement units?
So I can't tell you specifically about Manhattan. We have been able to close locations across the state. I don't have specific numbers for Manhattan.
We would, again, be interested in the transparency of understanding that information. That would be great. All right,
Yeah,
let me-
it does, and just to flag, it is difficult we have gone to our enforcement division and talked to them about this. A lot of these are in, it also gets to an administrative judge level after a lot of effort and time went into it. Sometimes these are quite literally ongoing investigations. As far as an end number for this area, we would have to ask if any of those have been wrapped up and we could give out a number, because until that happens, this can go on for quite some time. It can go on for months in some cases.
Phil, just a number. Let us know, email the office, we can update the board on the progress. Last question was for Jared, and then we move on.
I had a question. There was an early slide that seemed to suggest that licenses would be fast-tracked for parties that could demonstrate control of a retail space. Is that meant to create an opportunity for some of these shops to backdoor their way into a legal license?
Did you hear?
So you mean the illicit shops? For the illicit shops to backdoor into the illegal license?
Don't have them all documented, which it doesn't sound like you do. What's going to stop one of these illegal shops? I think that's part of the whole scheme, right? Is that
But then there'd
people?
be justice involved, so then they would.
So
be
the
enforcing
question
all
is, in your slide that asked about fast-tracking, the opportunity for those, mind you, any retail tobacco store that is opened in Lower Manhattan in the last 5 years is illegal. There are no new legal retail tobacco licenses. That doesn't even come close to the conversations about hookah and cannabis and vaping. So for any of those stores that are already open, are they able to fast track a license?
No, and one of the reasons that link that we had in towards the end of the slides was reporting these locations. Our enforcement team does a direct comparison between any reported stores and names that they've come up with during the investigations and anyone applying for the license. And from day one, I mean, even back to 2021, we made it very clear anyone participating in the illicit market in a brick and mortar location will not be receiving a license from the Office of Cannabis Management. When we talk about pre-existing stores, one of the issues that we have are maybe a person who wants to convert a bodega or a gas station or something to a dispensary. So they at least have a store in mind, something that they have. The problem also is that social equity candidates may not be able to have a store or get one right away. So when we were talking about the definition of when you're applying for one, we can provisionally give someone a provisional license, which does not mean that they're guaranteed to get one, but they have a provisional license, which will then allow them to go out, raise capital, and talk to individuals finding a place for them to go. Individuals that have that have been flagged for illicit cannabis stores are not going to be allowed to get a legal license from the Office of Cannabis Management.
Okay, well, it is 8 o'clock. I want to be respectful of your time because I know that both of you need to leave. This was very illuminating.
That's for sure.
I will suggest to every single person who listens to this video, whether you're online, whether you're a public member, whether you're a member of the public, whether you're a board member, you see an address, start reporting it to OCM. All the links that they shared in tonight's presentation, I'm hoping they share their slides. We will be sharing those links out by email in the newsletter, and just share it. That way they will build their database.
We'll be sending you the PowerPoint as well, and those links are active on that PowerPoint. So you will have them tomorrow, which you'll be able to share.
All right, no. Share. Or if you have relevant information, email it to the board. We'll email it out with everything that goes. No problem. All righty. So with that very much, it's 8 o'clock, and I want to say thank you very much for coming, Philip and Pascal. We will have lots of questions, and we will have to deal with this as we come up. I think what would be a good thing for us as a board to do is we're going to start to gather on a Google form some questions that we can send to you based on this presentation, so we can get some information back. Susan, when is your licensing committee?
It's the first, what day is it? Let me see. Next Wednesday, a week from.
It's a week from tomorrow.
But
Alrighty.
I'd just like to say, if I may, for 2 minutes, I think this is a terrible, not 2 minutes, a terrible burden for us on the licensing committee, and there's something wrong with all of this.
Yeah.
And I don't know how we're going to do it.
Subcommittee.
There is something that is askew.
I agree with you. I think we probably need a task force on this. I am actually gonna have a discussion with the office and the amount of licensing requests you have for October. We may ask the person applying for cannabis to come to a different committee meeting in October, so we can still conduct the business of the board, and we can still not be here till midnight.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so with that.
And regarding that meeting that you wanted with us, there's no need to call tomorrow. Just send us dates. Just, email us potential dates, and then we'll try to get back to you as quickly as possible.
Sounds perfect. Thank you very much for both of you.
Thank you.
Let's, thank you very much and good night. Thanks for coming. We really do appreciate it. Let's hit the slides. Let's keep going. You're gonna love my chair report. Watch this.
Ooh.
Yeah, we have no district manager, so there will be no DM report tonight. The PowerPoint's being pulled up again, because Onej is in the room where Wi-Fi takes a second.
Thanks,
I'm not in my cave, my back cave where everything is.
It's quick. While she's pulling that up, I need to remind all board members, if you are approved to be online, A, you must be approved to be online. B, the law requires that you have your cameras on the entire time. That's not my law, it's theirs. Your name must appear appropriately and your camera must be on consistently. If you need to leave, you can certainly message to the administrator, and whoever is running the meeting on the text will announce something like, Tammy Meltzer has stepped away. And that's the only time your camera needs to be off. Okay, chairperson's report. That's where I've been. The only two things I'm gonna say is thank you so much for those who were able to join us on 9/11. It's been really busy. That's all I'm gonna say. Next slide. That's where we've been. Coming. Adopt a Plant is on Wednesday. More importantly is the City of Yes for Housing Opportunity. I cannot even begin to explain to you how big this is. Patrick will back me up on this. We have a tiny little taste. He'll talk about it. Just, if you're free on Wednesday night, go to this. Next. Tomorrow. Thursday is the First Precinct Community Council meeting and the Lower Manhattan Historical Association. So you have an opportunity to do some historic work and then go to the NYPD. Next. Saturday is for the arts in Lower Manhattan. The Performing Arts Center is really looking to connect with the community. So they want to be the first thing when you think, oh dear, let's have a date night. Where are we going? They want you to go to the PAC first. They want the PAC to be on top of your list at every opportunity. This is our Performing Arts Center in Lower Manhattan. It's up to us to really adopt it and make it a thing. This is their open house. It's free and open to the public during the day. If you're done with the crowds, but you're still feeling very artsy, the Battery Park City Authority is doing a walking tour of art outdoors. Gosh, I hope it's not raining. And there you go, that's Saturday, and that ends my chair report.
Beautiful.
Right? Sweet. All right, open meeting law updates. The resolution was done in committee. I have encapsulated everything that everyone has asked me, including Vicky. So, we have the therefore be it resolved on here, which has everything that's new. Board members are in person. Unless you are approved by the chair based on the qualified disability, which was the memo that you see on the back of the resolution, which everyone starting next month, if this passes, will fill in and send to the office, down on text and phone calls. That would be great. All right, so that is a the above items that were unexpected, caregiver responsibilities, disability, illness, weather conditions, are unexpected, not routine. So that is not designed that you cannot use that if, like, I have unexpected work travel 3 months in a row. Maybe you should rethink your qualifications for being on the board, right? It goes through, we are now asking that all applicants or presenters, anyone seeking an action by the board, to have a representative on site to be able to speak to the community. Presenters that are not seeking an action from the board may attend virtually, but all presentations, unlike what SEM did today, need to be sent to the office prior to starting the meeting. And that is super, super important for office ability. If somebody has a bandwidth issue, the office needs to be able to run it. Alrighty? The therefore be it resolved after that authorizes, in case of another declaration of emergency, we don't need to have a meeting for the chair to say, oh, no, we're remote. If the chair can't do it and the chair is incapacitated, the vice chair does it. I use this only because it's just us. We also urge the governor and the state and the senators to continue to improve for video conferencing, reconsidering the requirement of in-person quorum. I put it in there. We asked them to reconsider and look at open meeting law. We also put it in that the mayor's office and the city council should allocate funding Whether that's a person, whether that's technology, whether that's a space that somebody does it for us, so the community board can show up and do the business of the board without having to reset the owls, watch your bandwidth and all the rest of it. We are incredibly fortunate on Community Board One because we have access to this space. I will tell you, every time we talk amongst the board, the other board chairs, or even when I got to where the district manager had the last 3 months, we really have it good. And it's frustrating for many others that we have it this good because we're in the building, we have all this, right? Imagine being at a board that doesn't have a space like this, is always asking, and quite frankly, people don't want a general public meeting anymore. So with that, I'd like to call the question.
Second.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, sorry, yes. We already called the question and went.
What you gotta do?
Do what we gotta do, yep. So, since we've already done the roll call for attendance, if you were not here for attendance, you must say your last name and your vote, otherwise we're going by affirmation, all right? So,
Chairman, yes.
Herman, yes. Anybody else who was not here for the first vote, who needs to say yes?
So, yes.
Julie, yes.
Hey, no.
Okay, no?
Inslee, yes.
Okay, fantastic.
Hotel, yes.
Copel, yes, I see you online, thank you so much. Everybody else, remember, if you are online, your cameras must be on, period, end of statement. Okay, awesome. Are there any abstentions? Are there any recusals? Are there any no's? We have one no. Colin, are you a no?
Yeah, not Mr. Word.
Okay. 2 no's. Perfect. Sure, no. All right, then motion carries. Keep in mind for budgets, I can't say it often and early enough. You've got something to say for budget, make sure it gets on the thing. Please don't wait until October to say. It happens in committee and from committee goes to the full board. If it's been done in committee, you notice it didn't make it when it goes out on the resolution, please email the board before we get there. All right.
When's the resolution being typed up?
Each committee should be doing their own
We
and
did.
adding it, and then it'll all go out with the resolutions.
Next meeting.
Yep, the Friday before full board. Okay, all right, with that, I'm done. Next committee.
Personnel,
Should be personnel.
Elizabeth.
Yeah, okay. Good news, we hired a new food manager. His name is Zach Palmer. And he, anticipated start date is October 16th. So hopefully you guys will all meet either before or at the next, board meeting. You know, we actually had some very qualified candidates and, it was stiff competition and we chose him. He has a lot of experience in city and state government. Unless anyone has any questions, I want to thank the personnel meetings. There were many meetings over the last couple of months. And so, thank you personnel meeting. It was not,
Thank you.
it was not easy. And thank you Tammy and thank you Alice. So, the job is finally, over and we hope to welcome him and we hope that you'll all welcome him, starting next month. Yes.
And thank you, Lucy and
Yes, of course.
Onej, because they did work above and beyond. Thank you very much.
So when we get the new DM, we'll do transitioning in October, November. Please be kind to the lovely gentleman when he starts. Understand that he will be learning all of us. And he'll be learning and we'll be rejiggering the office for committees and things like that. Be patient, be kind, be supportive, as you guys have been. I cannot say thank you enough to the personnel committee and the staff and the extra roles that everyone's taken. Mimi, our fabulous newsletter, right?
Thank you.
And I really, be kind. We'd like to get the guy in, we'd like to, be able to get the.
Before he's out.
So with-
Solutions not
so-
coming back.
No.
No, he got a new job. Yeah. All right, so.
Very good.
Can I call a question?
Second.
Okay, vote by affirmation. I'm gonna assume everybody's yes. Are there any abstentions? Are there any recusals? Are there any noes? Motion passes unanimously. All right, moving on. Alice, you're next.
Okay, we've got two resolutions, and I'm just gonna give you a couple of slides, just so you know. The first one is well worth knowing about. Some of you may have followed this. It's a park for the Rotary Park at the Holland Tunnel entrance. It's an area that's in desperate need of something. 3 years ago, the design team, Bauman and Kaplova, from, who are architects who work out of Cornell, Park, in Ithaca, they came to the board and presented a project, which was a very interesting one that got a lot of sort of enthusiastic response. We wrote a resolution, and it was advised at the time that this rotary really should be used as a resiliency feature in Lower Manhattan, rather than just a simple park, because I think simple is quite beautiful. And they went back to the drawing board and they really committed themselves to really looking at this for resiliency. So, no, that's not the right. No, but the slides aren't matching. We're doing the fly through for the Northwest. There we go. That's so that's what it looks like. Well, I'm not about today, but that is the Rotary. I'm sure you're all familiar with it. You can just look through the next one. And this was the original project, an extraordinary project. Yeah. Next slide. And this is the area that you're seeing, which is basically, they're showing you that this is 95% hardscape, and that small bit of green is where the greenscape is. And they're of course looking to completely reverse that and make this 100% green space and make it more resilient. And by the way, this is all laid out, of course, in the resolution, which I trust you all read. Okay, I love the name of it. They wanted to basically take out the gravel that you're seeing on the left, replace it with plant material. Trees and plant material, and this they refer to as a sponge, making this an absorptive spot that would really alleviate a lot of environmental problems in the neighborhood, air traffic, air pollution, flooding, and the like. Next slide. And this is a section showing you that there's about a 3 to 4 foot rise in this area. And so actually, one of the things that was brought up at the last meeting, and again, this meeting, was to consider using the basin that's underneath this rise for a catch basin, also in the resolution, which they're looking at and exploring. Next slide. And that's really it. The center you see would be this green sponge, and that would be the first phase. That's a 1.5 acre area, which is quite doable, and it's really a very thoughtful kind of project, because it's actually doable. And then the perimeter area around is the next phase. I think that's it. Okay, so on the resolution, if there's any questions, we're basically in a resolution that is looking to support this resiliency feature in the park, and the concept of the park itself. And I just remind everyone that in their words, they want to transform the Holland Rotary into an environmental asset, a public amenity, and a piece of vibrant green infrastructure. How can we not support this? I want to add in one whereas clause, and forgive me, very happy with adding that in. Where did I put it though? Here it is. Okay, so one whereas clause. A committee members recommended the designers consider the use of high-density plantings called mini forests, referred to as a Miyawaki forest, named after the ecologist Akira Miyawaki, which are to be highly beneficial for air quality issues and for flooding. And this basically is an idea that that center should have a lot of trees, small trees, and these are things that exist elsewhere. They're quite expensive. The designers are going to, again, look at this, but that was something that was discussed. I want to make sure it was represented. Go ahead.
I just want to say that there are 2 spots of the Rotary that were in process for years and that are completed, and one of them on the north west corner of the Rotary, the east side of Hudson Street or Varick, on the Soho side, just on the Soho side, was done as a green park that butts up against the Rotary. On the east side, between Watts and Broome, there's another nice park that's not a green spot, it's a sitting space.
Right.
But they actually did manage to create a green park in one quadrant of this already.
Right, and I know Jared Schiers is head of the North Tribeca Neighborhood Alliance and very involved in this project and has planted trees in this area and knows a great deal about it. I don't know if you want to answer to Bruce's.
Yeah, I mean,
I guess
there
declaration.
are trees there. I mean, part of what we did and part of how Peter and I got linked up was that 9 of the trees on the block had been fallen down and had been replaced. And so it was said about doing something about that, and then, you know, the conversations grew from there. Yeah, I think the idea here is to take this space, which, you know, you can see it from the footbridge over there pretty clearly. It is a very large expanse of gravel, serving no actual functional purpose. And the thought really is in a city where utility is eked out and value is eked out in some form or another from every last square foot, how do we have 5.5 acres in the middle of Lower Manhattan, essentially sitting there as a potential staging ground for the Port Authority? So the plan that Peter presented, you know, keeps that in mind. It helps, you know, try and preserve the needs of the Port Authority while adding a green asset to the community. Because believe it or not, that's, you know, Lower Manhattan, Chinatown, you know, Tribeca actually has the second highest small particulate air matter pollution. Really?
Yes.
So I wouldn't think it, but it does. And some of that is the traffic there. But this is a way to try and, you know, get functional value out of completely passive and essentially empty space.
Are there any other hands up in questions? I've got 2. Mimi and then Mark. Mark?
Hey, Mark.
Hello, Mark.
I've never worried about it before, but like, who's gonna water these trees if there's a drought? I just, with that whole street tree thing.
There,
Who's
at the
in charge?
moment, there's actually irrigation underneath a lot of these trees. It has not been maintained over the years. You can see it, the remnants of it.
So there will be for this too.
I don't think that has quite been considered, but, you know, it's a problem.
I should make clear that we're resolving to support the concept of greening this area, not the specifics of any
And
plan.
looking
But
forward
there
to
is a
further
one
design.
you see from Okay, this.
okay.
Yeah, I just wanna make sure that they're.
No, it's a
taking
very
this
good question. It's a great
For sure.
question, and it's something we should have.
Okay,
that's the next,
All right, Mark had the next hand up.
Yeah, that's actually the question I had. I live near there, you do too.
Yes, I do.
Can we clarify that we're supporting the concept of greening the area, but not necessarily any specific uses at this time, and that we be consulted on that later?
I think
we need
it's,
to be
it's, I think it's in there.
Clear about that, clearer.
I'm not gonna. I think
It says that.
It's in there, yeah.
But
I think it's
you know,
clear.
I mean, I think it needs to be clear.
I don't.
Clearly on the
Mark,
next
it
one.
says concepts. It says concept
I'm not
plan.
gonna accept
Then,
that.
can we add then that,
No, I'm not gonna accept it. Let's move on.
other uses in the future that we come back to us? Why you did? why-
Because I think it's fine the way it is. I think it states it the way it is. I don't think we have to say.
It does ask them to come back, but that's the
Right.
last
It
word.
says
I think
return,
it's
as
fine
Jeff
here.
said.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Move it.
my concern
Further
is
development.
specific uses, whether it be things done at night, whether it be permits
It's a
given by the
concept.
parties, whatever the case.
Yeah, they will come back,
They will come back.
and they actually agreed to, so I think we're in good shape.
I make a motion.
Yes.
Oh.
Go ahead.
You're
Call the
up.
question. Second.
Okay.
Okay, if you were not here for any other vote,
We just have Mark.
Mark,
Right.
you must call out your last name.
I know.
All right, so we're going by affirmation again, right?
Yep. Mark, what's your vote?
Tammy, I just had one question.
Paul, sorry, the question's been called. It's been called, motion's been.
Called and seconded.
Oh my gosh, I need more caffeine.
You're
Thank
not
you. The
just
motion's been
out.
called and seconded, Paul. I apologize, I missed your question. If you do have a further question, please email it to Alice, and Alice will get you an answer to it, okay?
Mark, what's your vote? Abstain.
And Marissa abstains. So with everybody, are there any other abstentions? Are there any recusals?
Yes, I recuse.
Please call your last name before you vote.
Star recuses. Sorry.
We're in Sharon, work on the.
Sheer,
work on the project.
sheer recuse. Are there any other recusals? Are there any objections? Motion carries.
Okay.
So for the second resolution, this is immense, just so we understand what we're talking about. This is the Northwest Battery. Basically, you're looking at Battery Park, and all we've looked at as a community board is 3.5 acres of it, which is Wagner Park. We looked at it for years when Diana was at the helm here, and we would looked at it with over 20, I'd say with between 15 and 20 meetings, as I recall. So far, in this particular situation with the other 90 acres, so we've looked at 3.5, we're now looking at what, 89.5 left. We've had no meetings yet at the community board. We're looking forward to that happening. There was the most recent one public meeting that the Battery City hosted, and this was at Stuyvesant. And I basically, what we wanted to do in this resolution is kind of bring everybody up to date as to where we're at reviewing these plans. This is the 30% completion phase. So it's early on, and the authority is looking for comments. The comment period ends on September 30th. We've asked in this resolution that we get tours of the site, and logically ask that the date then goes from the 30th of September to maybe after the tours are given, some more people can issue comments. The resolution is divided between public engagement, what we've done and what we've seen and what we've heard, and what we'd like to see. And then we have the public comments, which were many. So thanks to Nancy Vigiano, this summer she compiled all of the questions that everybody had asked. And you'll see this mirrored with Lauren, thank you. So we have this entire compilation as part of this resolution as a record. And then we have what the Battery Park City Authority has on their website, which is excellent, which is all the questions answered that they got at that June meeting as well. So we have all of this, and then we tried as a committee to comprise the sort of high, the ones that appeared the most often, and you see that in bold on the second page of your document, which is the summary. And the therefore be it resolved is basically saying that we would like to see these comments answered and considered as the authority goes forward. So that's the gist of it. What I have up now, it's really worth seeing, and sort of as a visual, is the fly-through of the entire site, which is a really extraordinary piece of work that shows you what these flood walls will look like in the most schematic of ways, walking down the Esplanade at different points. So it's a short, not that short, but I think worth taking a look if you're all interested.
And the link to it's on their website, right?
And that is right. You can see all of their websites are extraordinary. A+, yeah, all this is there. Oh, okay, so questions. Josh.
Jess.
Yes,
That's okay.
sorry. I'm sorry, I was
this
just
is-
thinking of Josh.
This is a lot. I mean, it's a lot. And I don't object to asking questions of the authority, like, that's fine. But what is the justification for moving the comment period? Because as I see it, like, they've done a lot to engage with the community. I understand they haven't come to the board specifically, but there's been a lot of meetings and a lot of engagement, and there are always gonna be more questions. This is a huge project. At a certain point, it has to get going. So what is the justification for moving the comment period other than we just have some more questions?
Well, in fact, there haven't been lots of meetings. There's been one meeting from the alignment, and there's only been one meeting at the
On
30%
this specific
design
part of
phase.
it, right?
And the entire part, there's been one meeting for each section, and so that's one, not 20 that we got for Wagner Park. And that may be enough. I'm not saying one way or the other, but to say it's a lot would be, I think, overstated in comparison. And I think it is fair to say that the authority is nice enough to say that they will now give tours, so that, which they did at Wagner Park. It's tremendous to see this thing in action. It's a month away, it's 30 days. I don't think that's asking too much. People walk around it and then they have more questions because they'll finally understand it. Many people, comments came through, so many comments, they did not understand it this holistically. They don't know how one piece of the park goes to the next. They don't understand how high the walls are in different areas. I mean, there's tremendous lack of understanding. So I think people really need to understand it. You're talking about a 92-acre piece of property. I think we need more than one meeting, and I do think they should come to community boards so that anybody who's interested can come here as well and see it. So that, I think, is why 1 month? The answer is to have more information, and it's 1 month.
Okay, but
Yeah.
at
So that's
at
your
the
answer.
same, yes, but at the same time, right, that this comment period is just for, they said like it's gonna be 60% done, the design or something like that?
30%.
So it's
Major
not
change
like,
cannot happen beyond 30% is what they said.
So it does matter.
So, Wendy,
So, thank you for writing up the resolution, and I actually tried to read it this afternoon. It wasn't quite posted yet, so I just read it at the meeting. Yeah, I tried to look at it, read it, this afternoon. It wasn't included in what came out, so I just read it at the meeting, and so I was trying to be, as thorough as possible, and I didn't get everything, but, one of the things that I, have been consistent about is, you know, we need to put in here, it's been over 10 years since Hurricane Sandy. That's not listed in there. I am always worried about slowing anything down. I feel like, what's just been announced from the Manhattan, Borough Presidents is that same sense of urgency. And, you know, he's asking for, his own, new agency. That's a whole different thing that we need to talk about. But I would like to just keep it focused on this project and not include all of the, referring to the Resiliency Task Force, which I voted against that. That I was in the minority in terms of that, resolution. Because I think that, the first thing is to have a holistic plan, number one, that meets up with the HAT study, which I will explain again. The HAT study doesn't even get voted on for any sort of money to even plan anything out for 2 years. And I am so worried that we are locking these things all together. And as we know, all these projects are being built high point to high point, so they're independent projects.
so Wendy, let me just jump in, because
So
I'm not
the
sure
way
you read
the
it.
way it reads right now is to me that you want them to be holistic about everything. And they have said, we'd like to be holistic, but there's no one to be holistic with because there's no there. There's no there. There's no hats, people. It's very much in the idea phase, not in the reality phase.
Well, I think, you repeated that, and I was very careful with the way that I tried to identify, absolutely, I listened to the entire tape again, so I was absolutely, I thought, religious in trying.
No, I understand what the
put that-
public asks, but
So I wrote here, and you can disagree with the resolution, your title, we discussed this in committee, that CB1 urges the Battery Park City Authority to work closely with the United States Army Corps, the Mayor's Office of Climate and Environmental Justice, the Hudson River Park Trust, and all other federal, state, and city agencies working on resiliency measures in New York City to ensure a holistic understanding and approach is applied to Lower Manhattan's resiliency planning. I don't think anything objectionable, but I think it is very important that all agencies know what each other are doing, and I think that's to me, it's
Well,
critical,
that
so
is-
that you may
that
not
is
agree with
what's-
it, you don't have to.
No, that is what's happening, but the implication reads like they're all happening at the same time, and they're not.
I don't think there's anything there that says that. And I do recognize the urgency, the last is also noted as
I
an
know, the
urgency,
very
right?
last, yeah,
So
the
I
very,
hope
very
that-
last one, but
that
it's
was
not, it
just-
doesn't say, I
Well,
mean, I would like it to say
Point
September,
is
like, or
I'm
St.
happy to
Hurricane
add,
Sandy.
it's been 10 years since Hurricane Sandy accepted, absolutely.
I just want to say that I did read the resolution and having written either hundreds or thousands of resolutions in the last 22 years, I think it's a fantastic resolution. The amount of work that went into it, the specificity, not the generality, the specificity of the resolution and the conclusions are extraordinary.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
And then
Good, we'll get a vote, yes.
I share Wendy's concerns, but I read the resolution in a way that's not inconsistent with those concerns. And I like the inclusion of the reference to Sandy in here. And I don't think the resolution suggests that we want to delay anything. I think I share Jess's concern of extending comment periods, but we are having the walkthrough in October, and it seems to make sense to have the ability to make comments on this phase in October. And some of the reaches we don't even have yet.
Right, correct.
The ones that are the most difficult to deal with, we don't have the final.
Right.
And the deadline doesn't even apply to those. So I think this resolution strikes the balance of identifying the issues that we're all concerned with, which I think the design team is aware of and is trying to deal with. And, the request for continual engagement. So I think it's a good balance.
Okay,
Thank you, Justine and then Sarah.
I have a question. So, the list of unanswered questions that are attached, they're still unanswered? All of them?
Huge. It's like, I mean,
Now,
some of them
the
are
better part-
variations of questions that have been
Haven't answered, yeah,
Some-
in fairness, yeah.
Some are
Yeah, because
variations,
I'm looking
but
at it.
the Battery Park City Authority did say that they would be posting answers, but, here we are sitting at September 26th, with the closing date at the end of the month, and we haven't seen or been forwarded the answer list, so.
But they have committed to answer.
But they've committed answer, because yes, some of this stuff, it's answered.
Don't get stuck in the sauce.
Yeah.
Okay,
by
but
the
just
way,
for the record, yeah.
Again, for
definitely.
anybody interested in this, their site is excellent. They do answer a lot of questions in the site. You can put your comments in the site, which is where they should go if you have comments on each and every area, what they call reaches. So I really encourage you to do that and do it soon.
Yes, absolutely. As of today, there were 62 comments that were logged online.
Which is great. If they're having
No, 62, there are 76,000 people who live in Lower Manhattan.
Oh, I see.
And there are 62 comments online. I'm sure that they've gotten, Vicky, they can hear you.
It's okay.
So there are 62 people who have commented. If every single member of this board commented, it would be just over 100. So it's really important that more people comment, that you share it. It doesn't have to be a Lower Manhattan resident. It could be a tourist. It could be a business person. It could be anybody should comment who cares at all about resiliency, the parks, the bike paths, everything and anything from Pier 25 down to the Battery. That's really, that's.
Because now is the time, as you've said it multiple times before that.
And if the one group that is marching ahead on resiliency is the Battery Park City Authority.
Yes.
And you see what happened in Wagner Park, it's completely raised, it'll become a new area, hopefully we'll all be thrilled, but this is happening, so if you live near these areas or know them well, you should really, really look carefully at the plans, and so I'm hopeful in October, November, and have them come to the board themselves. There will be another public meeting in November, and there'll be 3 tours, we've just gotten the dates, Tammy will put them out, but they're in this month. It's gonna be October 19th, the 21st, and the 26th for different parts of the reaches, and we'll put that forward so everybody's got it. And please come to those. Those are fantastic, those tours. And with all of the engineers, the architects, and they're really, really excellent.
Did you have something?
Very quickly, we had chatted about the modeling.
Yeah.
Could we include that somehow? Because
It's
in
in
the.
there.
Where
So
is
is
it?
so is your signage.
Yeah, it's in it. It's,
a great idea.
Okay, because it's the signage, yeah. But I'm really concerned, and they've never answered, and I've been to each damn meeting about the weight of the water and the weight from the drainage and the lack of drainage and how resilient these
So that
wells
is in
are.
there, and so you all know that the authority again is coming to environmental protection in October, I think it's October 16th, just to talk about drainage, and they will have engineers on hand to talk about water velocity and drainage, so anyway,
Thank you.
for that topic.
I
And that is
didn't
in
know
here
they were
as well.
Thank you.
Laura, you have your hand up online.
Thank you. So I just wanted to say that I think it's very worth trying to get more time for decision-making and for comment, because keep in mind, this is a design build project. So, it's going to, once they start moving on it, it's going to move very quickly. And because it's design build, they're going to try to do it as inexpensively as possible for the contractor who's involved in the design process. So this is our park, like we don't have Central Park, we don't have Riverside Park. We have Hudson River Park and we have the parks at Battery Park City. And if you want a wall between you and the bikeway, or I should say, if you don't want that wall, come to the meeting, make comments. I spent like an hour making comments on that website, all up and down. And this involves the transportation committee of our board. the youth committee, the quality of life and, you know, parks and environmental. This is everybody's and Battery Park. So I just want to back up Alice and, it's really critical to review these plans and to speak up.
Thank you very much, Laura.
Yeah.
With that, I'm gonna call the question.
Second.
Okay, so we're gonna run the same way we run before. We'll run by affirmation. Assuming everybody's a yay, are there any abstentions?
I'm abstaining.
Okay. Amoruso abstain and
Chapman's abstaining.
Chapman. Andrew, you gotta be louder.
Zelter abstain.
Okay.
Brown Kennedy abstained.
Brown Kennedy abstains. Sorry.
Kuchia abstains.
Rossi abstained.
Okay,
Sorry.
hold on. You got everybody?
Look at them.
No,
Hold on, everybody be quiet. So
Laura. Who did I miss?
Laura did not abstain.
Oh, sorry, not Laura. Chapman, sorry. I
All right.
have 4 abstentions. Who am I missing?
Rossi,
Do me a favor, raise your hand in the room again if you are abstaining, and one by one, I'm gonna go around the room. One by one, last name and vote.
Chapman's abstaining.
Kuchia abstained.
Rossi abstained. Brown Kennedy abstained.
Zelter abstain.
Okay.
Okay, great.
Amoruso abstain.
Thank you. Are there any recusals?
Forsberg recuses.
Forsberg recuses. Are there, are there any no's?
Above system.
Okay, motion passes. Thank you very, very much for all of the work. Okay. All right, landmarks, Jason, you're up.
It was not controversial at all, except for, some poor, vote recording at the end, we didn't call the question or something, but, that was really showing how poor this hybrid meeting process is. So this is 384 Broadway, it's a through block building that goes to Portland Alley. The Broadway work is to inside do a ramp to get access for the first floor and I believe the rest of the building. So the benefits of the way they designed it is go ramp outside.
Sorry.
And rest of the work is really in keeping with appropriateness in the district. And then the next slide is the Portland Alley slide, I think. Next slide. So that's really a very beaten up part of Portland Alley. And they're proposing to put new glass and new steel doors in between the original cast iron columns and then also a new skylight. So it's really very nice way to activate that facade of the, 180-foot long building. So we wrote a positive resolution. The next one is, that's just some pictures of the existing old skylight on Portland Alley. So next, oh, well, that's not 60 Hudson, so actually that's unfortunate. What's the next slide?
45
We're still in 384 Broad.
Oh, yeah, you
That
are.
didn't translate well. Okay, this is the wrong slide. It's 45 Murray, but it's not. No, it's not,
No.
unfortunately. But we know 60 Hudson, right, Alice? You know 60
I
Hudson.
do know what it was.
Bruce
curious
knows
what
60
those
Hudson. You know what they're doing in 60 Hudson?
Are we gonna
They're
get in
gonna
it?
spend a lot of money recreating some beautiful light fixtures and doing some very thoughtful relamping, and we all loved it. Bruce wasn't there, but he
That's
wanted to
right,
say
I
something.
wasn't there, I respect George Boyle, but I do wanna know, did George tell you what the difference in actual illumination?
No, but he
would be?
probably would have if we, or we'll get that, he would get back to us on that.
Yeah.
It was definitely to up it quite a bit, because
Because the current sconces, which are original, I assume they're not.
not relamping
Right.
those.
The illumination of that lobby which is very secure now, much infinitely more secure than before 9/11, is dramatically Art Deco. I mean, the achieved effect by Ralph Walker is an incredibly dramatic, as I say, almost cinema noir look that was deliberate, and it goes through the block. And I'm just wondering, and I wasn't there, if it's going to be a bright, evenly lighted space, that almost affects the interior landmarks designation that, I mean, we've agonized over a simple desk.
So it's one area called the reception / hall area.
Where is that?
I believe it's kind of close to the, not the, like, what I would call the direct, like the very entry of the building, but like the next kind of
Okay,
volume
right,
and where the reception desk is.
right.
And, you know, the fact is, they showed original electrical drawings with these sconces. And for me, it doesn't almost then matter after this point, if they're gonna give us recreations of very decorative and beautiful.
And
like-
did he say why they were never,
No, he
installed by
didn't say
Ralph
that.
Walker?
He didn't say that.
Okay,
And, but the plan, you saw this plan, you say, whoa, great work researching, thank you for doing that. And I don't think it's going to make it like like this room, let's say, you know what I mean, in terms of its
You
brightness.
touch chandeliers, the chandeliers.
Yeah, you know how high those
Chandeliers.
ceilings are, it just can possibly throw off so much.
okay, okay.
But, and I'm sorry we don't have a picture of it, they did a rendering, Bruce, 45 Murray. The upshot of this is that we have a problem in our district with sidewalk vaults from like the
Yeah.
19th century. So, in the resolution, we added something about, it would be great if LPC and DOT would get together and have some sort of like FISP type program for, maintaining sidewalk vaults. And otherwise, this building wants to, replace their sidewalk vault so that people don't fall through. And there's very, very, very limited original fabric, AKA vault lights. So we felt like it was appropriate.
So, because of the amount of sidewalk vaults downtown, it's actually a huge hindrance to having new trees in the ground. 'Cause you can't dig because you hit a vault, all of a sudden you have a big problem in your hand.
Yeah.
When these types of repairs and reconstructions happen, as they do from time to time, I know it's not necessarily the goal of the landmarks committee, but in a case like this where there's not a whole lot of originality preserved, it would be great if we could figure out a way to strike a balance to encourage that along.
I don't understand, I'm sorry, I just don't understand what you're asking for.
I mean, I'd like to see a way that we figure out how to incorporate new trees when the ground's being torn up, and the vault is not original, and, it's the only opportunity to potentially do that in a lot of different parts of the district.
If I may, are you talking about planted trees or
Planted.
trees in pots?
Planted.
Boy, that would be a huge financial burden on.
Right, I think, have you been in some of these vaults? Just, okay, so first of all, if they're original, if they're there, and DOT hasn't taken their taste of it yet, it's really it's incumbent on the landowner of that building. And, I don't know, I mean, we could add that, I don't know what the wording is, maybe that's not for now, this is like a very fresh kind of thought in general, but I think we know there's a big problem that's not addressed. Gerald brought it up, it was really good that it came up, we added it to our budget request also, so I think we covered it for the month, unless anybody else has any questions. Yeah.
Your comment about the vaults, but that's private property, so they're gonna, they'll fight you for it. They wanna keep their space, so I don't know how we
Then
would.
you'd have to fill in the vault.
Right.
Well, I'm suggesting, first, a lot of them are in various stages of disrepair. Some of the buildings don't know what's underneath there. There's not any sort of comprehensive understanding at any agency what's down there. Often they don't know what's down there until they dig or they have a problem. What I'm saying is, it would be good to encourage that along, to advocate for it, to suggest that be considered in any type of reconstruction, when there's not a historical element to maintain it, such as here.
I'm sorry, I know so much about vaults, and I just want to say that up to the curb line, the vault belongs to the city and is de facto licensed as interior space to the building owner, who is required to maintain that space, but it's owned by the city. So you're dealing with the private property up to the curb line. You're dealing with the city under all the utilities in the street beyond the curb line. And I just want to tell you that structurally, I do know if you're talking about planting trees where there are vaults, the cost would be prohibitive. That's all. I mean, it's a nice thought abstractly, but practically, I'm not sure what it is that you are suggesting. And that's all.
Grow weed under those
Right, right. That's right. John, did you have to put a wine cellar in one
And I
of the
just was gonna call the
I think
question.
so.
Okay, so, are we taking them all together,
I think
Jason?
so, yeah.
So everybody understands, for landmarks, we're taking all three resolutions together, okay? Voting by affirmation. Are there any abstentions? And if you abstain, which one are you abstaining? from?
Last name and vote, please.
Blank abstaining on 60 Hudson.
Okay. If Blank has the courage to abstain, then I'll airman abstain.
I love that.
I'm sorry.
Give it a little
Just to
bit
be
of
safe.
flavor, yes.
Solid.
To which, Bruce?
What?
To which, please?
60 Hudson.
Meltzer abstains
I'm
to
sorry.
60
You
Hudson.
know, come to the committee.
Oh, come on,
You wanna
keep
see the
going.
picture?
Guys, please.
Are there any other abstentions for any of the three?
Sheer will stand for three.
All three?
Sheer, are you-
Number three.
45 Murray Street, the vault.
You must get the address.
All right, 45 Murray Street.
Thank you. Okay, so are there any recusals? Hearing none, are there any opposition? Hearing none. Motion's passed. Thank you very much. Moving on from landmarks. Okay, rock along.
45.
Okay, transportation. Betty Kay, I need Betty to be able to get closer to a mic. So that means Joel, can you move a little bit closer to Eric, and Bob, can you move a little bit closer?
No. Come here, baby. I'm next to you, baby.
Betty, you're up. Slides for transportation, please.
Yeah, so we can talk about bus stop requests, the first and only resolution from our committee. The next slide. If you go back one, please.
Yeah.
Go back. Thank you. This is for the south side of Battery Place between West Street and State Street. I point that out because I have never seen a bus stop request like this. So I want people to pay attention to that. This is not like other bus stops and requests that you've seen before. And this is a map to remind you, it is all the way from West Street, all the way over to State Street. They can stop anywhere along that point. There are 3 physical signs.
We got it.
None of the signs that do exist are limited to any particular tour company or shuttle company. So it's a very different situation than you're used to seeing other places. We go to the next slide, shows that whole stretch that we're talking about. Oh, the DOT always with a picture from their files. This is what they show, and it points out at the end of, I'm completely losing it today. And
This
it
is
shows a geolocation, but in fact, they're not limited in the permissions anywhere along that stretch. This is just one point.
Cool.
Yeah, so what this is from the DOT application itself, as well as I went down and looked because some of it I couldn't believe. But the DOT photo does show an existing bus stop that's located at Washington Street. However, they're not limited with this permission to anywhere along the block. Well, it's more than a block. Victor Bus Stop does not name any MTA bus routes. It's also the signs are for MTA drop-off only. Also signs that say that charter buses are for pickups and drop-offs. This is the only signage there is. So there is nothing that names a charter company, doesn't name an MTA route. There are no specifics. It truly is anywhere along this line. What they've asked for, and the competition is for 8 AM, 12 PM, 2 PM, and 4 PM. So they're making 4 stops a day, but it's 7 days a week, is the request. Some pictures along the way to show you. Yes, a whole bunch of different companies and shuttles stop along there, and they can stop anywhere along the distance. Many of them probably do choose to go to the same locale so they can locate their customers, but nevertheless, they're not restricted by the DOT to do that. Next slide, I think will show more variety of the kind, a lot of people do it. A lot of different companies are using this space. And in fact, there's some illegal parking, which is the biggest problem that I saw when buses and shuttles couldn't get near the curb. It was because of the cars that were parked there and shouldn't be. And it's signposted that they shouldn't be. Yeah. So of course, the next obvious question was going to be, what happens with the resiliency project? Because we knew that the South Battery Park City Resiliency Project was going to anchor along that very stretch. So I got this from the team, Vic Fogarty specifically at the South Battery Park City Resiliency Project. What you see in brown is all staging area within the park. What you see is that kind of greenish aqua line that goes along is where the bike route, the bike lanes are already there, to be moved to the other side of the wall that currently is in place. And the pedestrians are going to be moved out between the trees and the street curb. And then I just want to go back so I can see the pictures again where the buses were.
That light peachy area is not staging, that is the project.
It is the project, but they call it staging. If you look at their
It says
keys, they call it that.
Area D phasing. The staging is, where they're locating things is off in the Great Lawn, based on the,
Right, but if there is, it's gonna be closed. It's gonna be closed off from the sidewalk.
Yeah.
As far as, I think it's the next slide. Next slide. What I got from the South Battery Park City team, this is what they told me in an email, so I just copied it. The goal during the work, once permitted, so the DOT is not aware yet officially of what's being done, will be to avoid the bus stop relocations and to minimize the impact to the bus route by performing their work at night. This project is a little different along the stretch. That's the goal, but they won't be 100% sure because they still have to do test fits and they have other survey work to do, so they're just making their best guess. That's just the goal. The sidewalk will remain open except for the south side of Battery Place. So within Battery Park City itself, where again, they're reconstructing the sidewalk, so of course it's closed, and we all know it's closed now. That's not supposed to be true along Battery Park. If you go back, my memory, sorry, isn't that good. Go back one slide. Pedestrians may be directed off along the sidewalk or even off of it. They can't rule that out until they know more. So they're not promising anything. And the project staging will be in the park side. But again, keep in mind, they're rebuilding that wall. I find it very hard to believe they're not going to take up any of the sidewalk for protection purposes. They say they're not, so I can just go by what they're telling me. So what the committee decided was, this is a new business that, remember about 2 months ago, we agreed with a resolution to give them space to stop opposite 100 Broadway. This is the same company. They applied to this stop at the same time as that other one. Because that was one of the questions, why are you kind of doing one at a time? No, the DOT is the one that pushed them off. They had asked for in front of the Jewish Heritage Museum. They knew the resiliency. The DOT then moved them over to this location instead. So as the owner of the company, a newly forming minority-owned business, said, we've already had to relocate once and we're prepared if we have to do it again, we'll deal with it.
Okay.
Once the DOT decides. Which is why the committee voted to support the request for these 4 stops along this full block stretch. However, the second part, they also urged the Department of Transportation to evaluate the impact of the resiliency project on Battery Place and consider repositioning the bus stops. so that the pedestrian, bicycle, and traffic movements are maintained. Am I supposed to call?
I just called the question.
Oh, no, my hand's up for a question. Dang it. Sorry, dude. Are you ready for questions?
Go to the committee meetings, man.
I was at the committee meeting and I followed up with DOT post committee. So yes, I was there. So I'm gonna pull, I was at the committee meeting. I am a full supporter of business in any way we can get business to revive Lower Manhattan. People understand that. However, two things. One, when you look at Betty's slides, understand that the bike path, I was told, when I was at the Battery Conservancy Board meeting, the bike path will be rerouted to the part, can you go back to the slide that Betty had up that is with the Downtown Alliance bus on it that shows you? The entire width of the sidewalk will be divided, that one right there. The right side will be the bike path. The other
The part
side.
you can't see, right, the part you can't see will be pedestrian.
The other side of the benches.
Yeah, that one's fine. Oops, stop.
That one kind of shows both sides.
No, not that one, the other one.
The red
That
bus.
has the
Lower
planters out
connection
front.
bus.
And it has the red bus.
Okay, it has the planters. You see the ground?
Yeah.
Leave that one. That one's fine. So the side that's closest to you, that appears to the right,
Between the wall and the trees.
between the wall and the trees, will be the bike path. Then you have the center, which is a row of trees, and the other side will be the pedestrian area. So it's gonna be super tight already. There is zero enforcement at all for ticket hawkers in that zone. It is not the fault of this, but I do not get why we keep adding drops to the bucket and saying, well, if they would just enforce it, then it'd be okay.
They
They don't enforce it. There's zero enforcement. It will be a solid way with no access for people to get away from it because all of the access into the park where people could currently walk away from is closed. You cannot enter the Battery at all until you get over to State Street. So for me, the second question I asked was the operator currently has the downtown loop where they come down Broadway and they go up Church Street. So why, when they come down Broadway, do they need to take the right on Battery, pull a U somewhere around there to come back? Why do we have to add to that zone that's already a congested, not congested with, necessarily cars every day, but a congested with ticket hawkers?
Especially when construction's going on, because it's not a tourist attraction. While
Correct.
construction's going on.
The only thing we have not heard back from DOT is about their route, because they were taking a look at the route to see if they could help improve it. But I don't think that the resolution, and Betty and I have discussed this, is strong enough to say, because I don't think we should even add one drop. They should find a new location that is not over in the construction zone. So that's my one comment, and then I'm off. So you
But
can
comment
imagine
about
how I'm
what-
guessing.
Yeah, but the comments at least what the owner of the business said. They said one of the attractions they're looking at long-term, because they're making a big investment in a new company, is that many people want to go to the Statue of Liberty and they want a position to allow them to be near that.
They already
If
have that
everyone is,
stuff.
wait, if everyone is moved, then everyone is moved, it would not be just them. The big users along that curb space wouldn't be them with 4 stops a day. The Statue cruises, which has 4 and 5 shuttles stopping at a time, multiple times, but that's not them. And that's their hawkers, and they tend to now be over by State Street, and I don't know why. They've moved.
Okay.
Can I ask a question? So if I'm understanding what you're saying, Betty, this will preserve their right to stop there at some point in the future. Whether they choose to stop there right now, the DOT may turn around and say, well, construction's going on, yeah, don't go there.
Well,
But you have the
DOT's
right to
likely
stop
move
there.
everybody, it wouldn't be.
Yeah,
just-
that's what I mean. Everybody would not be there.
Right, so they would be among the group that would be moved because they have this position at a stop. It is being relocated or the people are being redirected from.
Because today it's no worse than what it is now. Once the construction starts, it's gonna be bad. Oh.
Mhm.
But then maybe they have the right to come back.
Like I said, it's gonna affect everybody who uses
Yeah,
those
right,
stops.
yes.
not just them.
And that's interesting. Okay, thank you. Thank you for clarifying.
Jared has his hand up.
Does the petitioner employ the ticket hawkers?
No, he specifically said, they
They
have
won't.
it, they do have an employee, not someone on concession, but an employee who helps expedite getting people onto boarding the bus. And it said their model is really all online because they're functioning in Midtown. And so there will be no stopping or parking of the bus down here. Everything is done in Midtown for this particular tour company.
Okay.
And said, if somebody really wants to buy a ticket, the expediter would be able to do that, but that's not their model and that's not their experience.
Okay, that's good.
Eric?
It was mentioned at the meeting, in the committee meeting, that, the problem we have with DOT is that they don't give us a large plan. They just give us little pieces at a time, because this same, as you mentioned, this same company came before us 2 months ago. So would you accept a friendly amendment to add that the DOT should give us a plan, not just a little piece at a time? To give us, like,
Show the entire route?
The master plan.
yes, a master plan.
For this particular company? or
Because
just-
we're, in general, every time we get these,
But for this particular company, have they shown that the bus takes a U-turn on Battery Place? Would it have impacted the decision-making?
Probably not, but the fact is, well, I can't speak for everybody, everybody can do it the way they wanted to. But the reality is, and that was a big point at the meeting, committee meeting, was that these were applied for these two stops were applied for at the same time by the tour company operator. It was a DOT who delayed it, and it's very obvious it was done because of the resiliency project. And again, this particular stop, as you saw written by the Southbury Park City people, was that they have not yet notified because the DOT, because they haven't filed any paperwork about the project and what's closing. So the DOT gave us this request in line to knowing that this resiliency is going on in this space.
Kate clarified later that she said that there is a potential that DOT does have paperwork, it's just that the bus team does not.
So it was still done blind.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So,
One last
a
question.
couple of things. One thing I want to point out is where the pedestrians are going to be walking once they're under construction are also where vendors are.
Yep.
Two, I actually think that this is a congestion area because people are coming off of West Street. A lot of buses actually get stuck right there. And part of it is because all this already illegal parking. So my big rip I've talked about before, right, is I'm trying to cross the street. If you go up 1 block to Greenwich, that's a hell to cross to get over to Battery Park.
Yeah.
And we're just gonna be adding to that. So one, not support of it, but I want that to be on people's mind as they vote for this.
Okay, any questions?
No, I got, so Betty, would you accept the friendly amendment to add that the DOT should give us a master plan instead of just piecemeal?
A master plan for each application, so we know where the buses are traveling.
It seems like a separate issue, like to tack it on to
It's a
this
very separate
applicant.
issue too.
It seems a little,
That's risking a particular company for a broader scope, and this particular one was an odd case anyway.
Eric, are you asking that that becomes a future discussion at committee and it is a resolution asking that when they come for all bus stops that you get to see a full plan?
Well, I think it should be in this one, because future, you know.
You can make it a whereas, it says
Yeah,
whereas
as a
DOT did not
whereas,
share.
so that it's documented that we highlighted that it's needed now for, yeah, I'd like to have it in this resolution.
You could add it,
Put a
but
whereas to say that it would be better if we knew about it. The others weren't. Those submitted on the same application should come to the community board at the same time.
perfect.
Because in the past they have, and I have had the route. So it's not
Perfect.
that they routinely don't do it.
That's just needs. All right, great. So with that, can we call the question? I see no questions online.
Yes,
Is there, okay, great. So rolling by affirmation. Are there any abstentions? Are there any oppositions?
James, no.
Lindsley, no.
Chairman, no.
Cole, no. Cameron, no.
Or no.
Hold on, hang on a sec. I've now hit more than I can, manage on my own, so.
James Binsley, Cole Cameron.
Star,
Stars, that was Star Online.
Thompson, no.
Meltzer, no.
Pucci, no.
Rossi, no.
Sun, no.
Brown Kennedy, no.
Hey, yes, look.
Yeah.
Just so.
All right, hold on, I'm gonna say we roll call this because at this.
You just heard Jeff, that's
Yeah.
it.
Thank you, whispering in my ear, so,
All right, roll call. Amoruso.
No.
Sorry. Blank.
Abstain.
Brown Kennedy.
Brown Kennedy, abstain.
Sorry, give me 1 second, guys. Cameron.
Cameron, no.
Sell.
Abstain.
Chang.
Chang, yes.
Chapman.
Chapman, yes.
Taking the other here, sorry. Cole.
No.
Coleman.
Yes.
Corman.
Corman abstain.
Pritchett.
No.
Curtis.
Curtis abstain.
Herman.
No. Chairman, no.
Flynn.
Yes.
Forsberg.
Forsberg, no.
Friedman. Stroman. Galloway.
Galloway, yes.
Goldstein.
Abstain.
Grayson.
Grayson, yes.
James.
James, no.
Joyce.
Abstain.
Ju.
Two, yes.
Kay.
Yes, hey, yes.
Cannell.
No, abstain.
Bell.
No.
Lewinson.
Abstain.
Lyon.
Yes.
Mahoney, yes. Meltzer.
No.
Minsley.
Usually no.
Moore. Moore. Eight. Portia Corey.
Corey, yes.
Robinson.
Robinson, yes.
Rossi.
Rossi, no.
Shear.
Sure, yes.
Star.
No.
Sun.
Oh, no.
Thompson.
Thompson, no.
Townley.
Yes.
You.
You, yes.
Zelter.
Zelter, yes.
This will be fun. Here we go.
I think it's 25.
Yeas 16, nays 15, abstaining 10.
Hold it. Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Learn or no?
I could have guessed.
All right, Betty, do you need to do the next report or can we move to life?
Oh, you didn't have to like.
That was fun.
I'm just gonna show people a picture of the plaza.
Well, it's-
Picture of the what?
Plaza.
The plaza.
Elm Street.
Oh,
That's all.
Okay.
This is an ongoing conversation, so those are curious.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know,
we are waiting for, this was approved by Landmarks in 2017
Years ago.
Yeah.
over the potential to make it a pedestrian plaza.
That's right.
Approved in land use in 2018 with the qualification that it does not become a mall-like thing and that,
That's
you know, we enjoy open space and free public seating. And it did not get moved forward in Betty's committee because there is no rulemaking yet for open dining.
Open
dining.
dining New York City program.
Right.
That's not the rules yet.
When it comes to pedestrian streets. So there was a possibility that every one of the retail spaces, so it would end up being fully privatized with, you know, a one table at the beginning and end, which was not what Community Board One passed a resolution in support of. So we are waiting for DOT to have some get back to us on what the rules are for open dining in relation to pedestrian streets, so it can be an informed decision.
They were also putting in all these lights and totally, I guess that's gone now. but
There's one more picture, but that's all we have.
You can look at the presentation, Bruce, and it'll tell you what PDC gave them.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much, Betty. It was a long and contentious meeting, and I really appreciate all the work. Licensing, Susan,
I think we're going to take everything all at once. We have one correction.
okay.
I'm going to give, Francis as a correction. We have
Yeah,
midnight.
just the word, take out, a double time in there as in number 5.
On which
Well,
application? Which license?
200 church.
200 Church. So there's a typo in 200 Church. with
Yes, in the number 5 where it says 12 AM.
Perfect. Everybody got that typo to fix? Before I go to questions, understand, we're gonna take everything together. Sarah has her hand up first. If you abstain, recuse, or object to anything, you must qualify it with the address and name of the thing, so it's very clear.
I'm not-
And your name.
I'm not quite done.
Go.
2 things. Well, 3 things. First of all, I want to remind everybody to call 311, to write to the SLA, and then to tell us if there are noise issues, if you think liquor licenses are problematic. Really do it. Don't not do it, because it helps us tremendously. And that on renewals, if you see an agenda item that's on renewals and there's a problem, please let us know. It's critical. Onej works very hard with me so that we can call people in and make sure that we threaten them. No, I'm And then I would like to say only one other thing, that the owner as well as the tenants at 200 Church worked really hard as a team. They really tried to come to a resolution, and I give them all a lot of credit, because they resolved something, and it's really nice when that happens once in a while.
What they resolve?
Yeah, well, they resolved the noise and the time and a variety of things, and they agreed on it, and the owner he wanted to make it work.
Great.
It's not Spring Street Studios. I had to get that in. I'm sorry.
Okay, with that, before you go, Bob, Sarah was the first to have her hand up, then Bob, then Jess.
Mine is just praise to the staff who changed wherever it said bear, B-E-A-R, to beer. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. And I read them today and I didn't see that, but thank you.
Bob?
I'm sure at your committee, you know that 200 Church was a former Tribeca Kitchen owner,
Oh,
Andy,
yeah.
and this is in the resolution. I don't know if it's in any of the other resolutions, but maybe someone could give me an answer here. I read somewhere that sheds have to be removed during the winter, November, December,
Yes.
and January. Is that true?
That's
That's
So
what we all
Because
understand.
at 200 Church, which I'm right up the street, out of those sheds, and he's better than most, and his restaurant on,
Greenwich and
Greenwich
one.
and-
Greenwich.
no, his restaurant across the street at Church and 1812 is his.
1803.
That's his.
That's his.
That's his.
Yeah,
Well, I think it is. It's his. It says Miriam Tech. It's his.
Keep going.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Those sheds have to be removed because there are rats and bugs
Bob?
living there. Yeah.
Email the office, will help.
What?
Just email the office, will help.
No, but
The sheds at 200
But
Church aren't there anymore.
that's what I'm asking. Are all sheds required to be moved in the winter and taken down? That
Not
was,
yet, that law does not come into effect, if I'm not mistaken, until 2024, so in fact, what you see around, you can't really get rid of unless they're empty. And if they can be proven to be empty, you.
Or causing a problem.
But
Or
you're,
causing a
but what,
problem.
thank you for that, but you're saying in 2024, the sheds in the winters have to go down. Have to
After
go-
the new rulemaking is done.
After the
Right,
new
Betty, right,
rulemaking
Betty's
is
the
done.
expert.
But I would, after the new rulemaking is done, I'd like us as a community
Betty's the
board to be,
expert.
wait, what? Yeah,
Right now, under the old rules, DOT will not take any renewal applications.
I understand that, but
If somebody is filing for a new application, that could also stop them.
that could also stop them. But the sheds in 2024 have to come down in the wintertime, which is everybody.
December 2024, not January 2024.
Yeah, December for the winter. I thought it was November 2024.
Yeah, but like,
That's
next
what,
winter,
but
no,
I see in 200 Church, he attends to apply for a sidewalk. Okay, there's one there very nicely. There are bugs and rats underneath
did we
it.
talk about this in committee?
I asked all of our renewals if their sheds had already become temporary, if they were able to take them down. Most said yes, they've already made the switch. There were like two maybe that said no, and I put all this money into a permanent one, but.
There's
I
no
understand-
shed there
I
now.
understand that I have to unravel it.
There's no shed at 200
That's
Church now.
correct. So we didn't
Okay.
raise it,
I
because there
would
was
raise
no
it.
shed.
Bob, do me a favor, email the office,
And
so
we
Nash
can
can
do
do
it.
some follow-up. Let's not do
Okay,
that.
let's
I
work
just
here.
needed, okay.
Okay, we'll do
The
that.
next hand up
You
is
reminded
Jared, and then
Smoking
you
all
go
that.
already. Jared.
He didn't go.
For 120 Broadway,
Sorry.
why do they have to have delivery at 6 a.m.? That noise really, they're truck backing up, et cetera.
You know, I didn't
What's the question?
notice
Why
it,
is deliveries at 6
but
a.m.?
usually we don't have it at 6 a.m.
Oh, dear.
Which one? 120 Broadway. Why is, was it 6 a.m.?
Yeah,
Fourth to last.
Are they serving breakfast?
yeah, they're open from 8 a.m.
Yes, they're serving breakfast, thank you. And so we do allow that when they're serving breakfast.
That's true.
All right, Jess, you're next, and then there was one other hand.
Just a quick question on
Thanks, Jess.
81 Warren. Says the applicant TAC New York LLC at 200 Church Street. Is that a mistake or what's the deal there?
What?
It probably is a typo.
It's a typo.
What? Say it again?
81 Warren is 81 Warren. 81 Warren is not located at Church Street.
No, it's a typo.
Oh, yes.
It's a typo. Thank you.
Thank you for catching that. Jess.
We're always very happy to have.
Yes.
Wait. So also in the Church Street resolution, it says the establishment intends to have seating on the terrace and has agreed to terrace seating only on Duane and none on Church Street.
Only on Duane and none on Church. Good,
Assuming that's.
good, that's fine.
Okay, fantastic.
Because he already has it there.
Yeah, they already have it.
Yeah.
It's sort of
That's
silly.
why.
Was that your hand that was up that I saw before?
Yeah, but it was my hand, it was.
Okay, gotcha, all right. So,
Okay.
seeing no other hands up online, and seeing no other hands in the room. Okay, none of these were private clubs, Alice is asking.
None.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
All right, so with no other, remember, if you have anything other than a yay, you must say the address quite clearly, your vote position, and your name for the record. Okay, so all taken together, are there any abstentions? Are there any recusals? Are there any no's? Motion passes, thank you. Keep my nuances down. Okay, I'd like, Mariama, can you do Tricia a solid? Tricia just needs to give a report and she's not feeling well. Tricia, you're on. She's online.
Myself, hi, everybody. Thank you, Tammy. Super short meeting because two of our guests ended up emailing us before the meeting and it did not want to therefore come afterwards. So I will just report on it quickly that there's been a lot of concern about the PS 234 scaffolding that's been up forever. And unfortunately, this work is not finished. So for those who were not at the meeting, I want to let you know it's going to be spring before that's down. We did ask them to go back and speak to the contractors to find out why this is taking so long. And in that same vein, we had the situation at PS 150 where last October, that fencing was supposed to come down. As you know, we fought very hard for the Edgar Street South Plaza to be extended at the very least, for there to be room for kids to be dropped off to school because Trinity Place is so busy. They got the school open on time, but the families arrived to this fencing completely blocking off the South Plaza, and it's been a complete nightmare for everyone for this year. I guess the building, we're back in a residential building in the base of it, and it was running behind, and they didn't feel it was safe to walk underneath that area. And so I'll just report that the scaffolding came down, but they never removed the fencing or all the trash that was underneath it. So we talked to Josh at the SCA, and he said he was coordinating with the construction manager to get that all put away. So finally, the South Plaza is open, a year behind schedule, but it's open. And then a quick report that we expect the Harbor School plans to be released anytime. They said September, it's the 26th. So I hope to be able to report on that next month. And that is it.
Thanks, Tricia. Feel better. No questions. She's gotta go.
I have a question, I have a comment about 234, which is that the scaffolding not only has been up forever, they're working at 10 and 11 o'clock at night.
That is a quality
Round
of life concern.
And locking out.
Then
the
I will bring it up
after-school
at quality of life.
Please email the board office. Let's see, we
Okay.
can pull and see what their work things are. I do know specifically for 234, their work hours are different because the children need the play yard during the school hours. So therefore, the work that's being done is done early morning, it stops when school opens, and then it resumes as soon as school closes. But unfortunately, they did not allow after school to utilize.
After I almost took the guy from SCA and I just had my fingers on his throat. Didn't work.
So the kids are expected to be in school, but they're not allowed to sleep across the street.
Yeah, right.
I'm just saying.
Exactly.
The kids aren't supposed to have fresh air after school.
Okay, both of you, please email the office.
I'm not
Lucy is
emailing.
handling it
I already
today,
met
and she'll help us with quality of life. Mariam, here's you loud and clear. All right, thank you very much, Tricia. Feel better, and Mariama, you're on for quality of life. And then Justine, if you guys can keep it short, real short, we stand a chance of then roll call with Mr. Fennell, and then we'll be out of here.
I'm gonna go a little bit out of order because I have notes all over the place, one of which is my phone, and I'm at 8%. So I'm gonna start with the 9/11, which is the more detailed and longer part of my report. I apologize in advance.
Do you need a charger?
So just to explain, and first of all, in full disclosure, I am a member of the World Trade Center Scientific Technical Advisory Committee, otherwise known as the staff. And we are who made the recommendation for the youth cohort. But this is a little bit of the history of it. In December of 2022, the Public Health Service Act was amended by Congress to include a research cohort for emerging health impacts on youth individuals who were 21 years of age or younger on September 11, 2001, meaning those people right now may be 43. Okay, that's the youth cohort. This act instructs the World Trade Center Health Program Administrator to establish this research cohort. The youth research cohort may include individuals who were 21 years of age or younger on September 11th, and individuals who were in the area of Manhattan not further north than 14th Street, outside the New York City disaster area or the borough of Brooklyn, and age-appropriate controlled populations as needed for research. So basically that's referring to a map that I'll probably get to in a minute that goes in Manhattan up to 14th, so it includes a good part of Board 2 as well, and from river to river here, so Board 3 in its entirety as well. And then a large part of Brooklyn, like even all the way out to Coney Island and the Rockaways for the purposes of the control populations.
For the kids.
Yes. The youth research cohort must be of sufficient size in order to conduct future research studies on the health and educational impacts of 9/11 exposures. And it must include sufficient representation of individuals who were 21 years of age or younger at the time of exposure. Now I'm going to go to what the feds that I'd asked the feds to attend our public session but they were unable, and so they sent me an email as well. Here. Okay. The program extended the deadline for comment on both, well, he's out of order too. Let me go to the bottom. There's gonna be an opportunity for us to comment, and he starts talking about the parameters of the comment before explaining what the comment is about. So let me go back. On April 26th of 2023, the World Trade Center Health Program published a Federal Register Notice, or an FRN, requesting input from the public in regards to the program's initial proposed approach on establishing a World Trade Center Youth Research Cohort for future research in accordance with the Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2023. So it was an act of Congress that caused this. Then on May 8th, a request for information, or RFI, was posted seeking input on methods for establishing a research cohort of sufficient size in order to conduct future studies on the health and educational impacts of 9/11 exposures on persons aged 21 years of age or younger at the time of the terrorist attacks and aftermath, including such individuals who are screening eligible World Trade Center survivors, meaning if you fall into the category where you could go in for a test, or if you're already certified, or if you're not. You don't have to be sick, you don't have to be certified, you don't have to be anything. You just have to be, I guess 43 or younger within that, the appropriate time zone, and be in the appropriate areas of the map, up to 14th Street in Manhattan, river to river. Okay. So because of those RFIs, they had originally had a pretty early deadline, which would have prevented a lot of people from commenting, especially since no one knew that there was the need for a comment or, the subject matter on which to comment. So now we're making that announcement, and the program has extended the deadline for comment on both the Federal Register Notice and the request for information related to establishing the youth cohort. So basically it's approved, but it's not really a thing yet. That's what we're trying to do now, is to make the actual cohort, so that everybody's clear. The comment period is extended to October 23rd for the FRN, and for the RFI, the deadline for response is now October 31st. So you can find additional information on both or either at the CDC's website, www.cdc.gov/WTC. Even though the target audience for the FRN and the RFI are technically different, the program encourages anyone to comment or reply to either or both. However, the same people will be reviewing the responses to both. So please do not feel compelled to reply to both. You don't have to. The program launched a youth cohort webpage, which you can also find on the cdc.gov, that includes a detailed cohort map, information on proposed approach, and updates about the effort. The youth research cohort was a main topic of discussion at the STAC, Scientific Technical Advisory Committee, in June, and you can find PDFs of the presentations and public comments, as well as the letter of recommendations from the STAC, also at the CDC's website. And that's all from the feds. So for me to summarize that portion, Congressman Goldman and Dr. Joan Reibman, who's the lead physician for the Centers of Excellence, meaning the hospitals that specifically treat 9/11 related conditions, are doing a webinar jointly tomorrow. It's at an odd time, in my opinion, from 3 to 3:45 or something, but if you are able to get on that, I think it would be helpful.
It's also recorded, I think.
Yes.
I believe it is going to be recorded, so you can watch it after, thankfully. And the Quality of Life Committee is already working on this, but I did want to try to get things going this month, because the deadline is next month. So in order for us to vote for it in time for the full board, we need to be able, be prepared to make a comment either as individuals and of course, as a committee and a board.
And how do you get onto that website, to that webinar tomorrow?
I'll send it to you.
Justine will have it. It's
Okay.
He sent it to me too.
Okay.
Christine had it.
And the board also sent it around also, so it's probably in all of our email.
And we have it on the newsletter.
Are you gonna do
Just ask the office if anybody
jail?
needs it.
Yes.
Andrew has a question over there. Sorry, Andrew,
Sorry, Andrew.
Sorry, I couldn't swear. So I just want to make sure I'm understanding. So this cohort group will consist of individuals that are currently between the ages of 22 and 43?
Yep.
Or 21 and 43?
Yeah, and the purpose, it's related to my comment earlier. You know, I was actually quoted in the broadsheet when the testimony was happening as saying, we really cannot understand what is going on with children or females, women, right? By studying 50, 60-year-old men who make up the majority of the responders. The differences matter. I mean, it's not to suggest that everybody, doesn't warrant their own, support and recognition and all of that, but the differences do matter, when we're dealing with this and people's health.
Anybody else have questions for Mariama? I see none. Do you even?
Okay, so that's that, just prepare for Quality of Life Committee, and anybody who's interested, be prepared for us to talk about this next month and to, hopefully write a resolution that will be our formal comments to the health program on that. So next I will go to let me do this one so I can close this book. I also had, I attended a Zoom meeting with representatives of the New York City retirees who represent a group of 250,000 union people concerned about losing their Medicare choice. So we're going to talk about this as well at Quality of Life next month. Currently, there are bills at every level of government, but we're going to focus on the City Council bill at our meeting, which is co-sponsored by our councilman, Chris Marte. At the time that I met with this group, there were 17 council people currently on board, but 35 are needed. Basically, what's happened is, we also on the news a year or two ago, they almost lost their benefits then. At that time, Judge Lyle Frank issued a permanent injunction preventing them from losing their benefits. It was saved. The city is now appealing or fighting that, and so it's in danger again. And 16 out of over 100 unions were all that voted to support moving forward and accepting the change from the city. But those 16 included some of the biggest unions, so it's like the most people. Those 16 unions outweighed the other 90 or whatever. It's like the UFT and the NYPD and DC 37, although all their members don't support it. So that's why some of them have gotten together amongst themselves, formed a body of 250,000 people, and are asking for our support, which we can discuss whether or not we want to go along with it. But again, our councilman is in support. So now the jail, I had decided to forego my slides because in the interest of saving time, there was nothing interesting about the slides. The challenging or contentious parts of the conversation having to do with the jail were not depicted on the slides. And those things were that, for one, they've instituted a program where alarms go off to tell them whether or not the air quality is okay. And they base the air quality on the EPA's measurements. Of course, this community has a history with the EPA's measurements meaning nothing, to go back to the 9/11 issue. Yeah. And so, of course, that became a bone of contention. And Jared very rightfully mentioned that even when the EPA felt that everything was fine, they still gave us HEPA filters. It wasn't immediate, but they still gave us HEPA filters. So the community members in Chinatown who are asking for HEPA filters, we don't feel that's too much to ask for. How much is a HEPA filter? This is like, $1 billion project. Give the people a HEPA filter. Right. But they said that they were not going to do that. They were not inclined to do that. So that was our one contentious issue on the jail. Yeah.
Well, they had mentioned that they didn't want to do it because they felt that it would create more
fear.
Fear.
Oh, yes. Well, sure. Yeah, it was really pretty.
Yeah. Okay,
The other contentious issue with the jail is that they do not have, a builder yet, and so to take down both towers when you don't have a replacement for the towers doesn't make much sense, particularly because, right, the South Tower is landmark eligible, and they're just gonna take it down for no reason, and then hope that a builder materializes, or the design materializes. So that was a component of contention.
The other
Neither
thing
of which was in the
to, like,
slide.
Maybe
just
they'll run out
add,
of money.
one thing, Mariama, is that everybody should be aware that for you said 2016, when we looked at this plan has been afoot. And all of a sudden, they're telling us that there's going to be a new RFP, and a new request for proposal. And we revealed in the public sector on that night why that was. And that was because they basically effed up a little. And the fact is that they could not find anyone who could build this jail. And they have been working on this for years. So all of a sudden, they're redoing the project years later, and we're led to believe, while this night is over, so it would be different than any other night.
Yes, right.
Well, how, you know, why? And so they have yet to answer that question. We will have a meeting that deals with that, but that's an important thing to understand. We're coming back to the table after all these years, yeah.
I know
No,
some. Oh, I thought
we're just reporting.
Yeah,
So
that's
Alice
right.
was adding to that report. We're not having further discussion on the report tonight.
Oh, okay.
Because it's not a business to vote on for the board. Mariama, continue with your report, and then we have Justine who promised me 3 minutes, and then Patrick, because Bruce, we promised everybody
Gotta
we'd be
go.
absolutely out of here
Yeah,
before
but I'm
10.
not feeling well. I
Yeah.
really, I'm
So
worried.
the last contentious part of the jail conversation was the cranes that overhang above some of the restaurants in Chinatown, really messing with business. You know, you don't want to walk into a building when there's like a
Right.
crane right over your head. So people are avoiding certain restaurants. And they said that they can only put the crane in that direction and in that position. That's what the manufacturer requires, that it be sitting that way, hanging over a restaurant. And so that's why they have to leave it that way. That was the jail. Then we had reports of several different projects on, yes, I'm sorry.
The one other thing on the jail, just something that
Mhm.
jogged my memory, was the data reporting and the time duration.
Oh, yes, that's important.
Sorry.
Yeah, so, going back to the part about measuring the air quality and all of that, they have no like real-time way of reporting to us. They don't even have a 30-day way of reporting to us. They're 2 months behind with telling us how the air was,
In
you know,
For the
yeah,
people who were there.
in July, basically.
And I'm making a joke.
What? I didn't hear.
Justine, come on.
So that was a problem also.
Case.
So the other projects were, there's a project on Greenwich Street, a project on Worth Street, project on Church Street, project on Front Street, project on South Street. For the most part, including the jail, a lot of the work is gonna be done by fall of 2024. On South Street, it will continue through 2025. They're gonna use robots to go into the ground and look for where, tons of water is somehow seeping into the sewage system. So they're gonna send, rather than humans, robots in there to find out where the water's coming from and try to stop that. There was nothing exciting about any of those projects yet. However, things will become exciting because we have to get further information next month from the Heart Association about their marathon. So work that has been completed may have to be undone so that they could, work that's in progress may have to be completed temporarily so that they can run over it and then rip it apart again when they're done. We'll find that out next month.
Pace.
The last one is PACE. Do we have that? That is the one slide.
That's ready.
I thought I asked for that one. PACE. Okay, well, PACE, what I meant to ask for the one slide, because they are doing mostly internal renovation on the Gold Street side. So at Spruce and Gold Street side of their building, not Park Row, Nassau, right? Across the street from the hospital, across the street from my building, across the street from HPD. They're doing renovation inside. However, in order to do that renovation inside, they have to take up the city bikes. They have to take away, they have to close the driving lanes. So in order to allow for vehicular traffic to continue, they are taking away the parking lanes and the city bike lanes so that people can drive in the parking lanes. And that's going to be on Gold Street. They're taking parking on Gold Street, which the city mostly takes up that parking anyway. You can barely get it. But they're taking parking on Gold Street. They're taking some parking on Spruce Street as well. And so that was another bone of contention, because there's a hospital there. And, you know, in addition to the residents that called in to complain, you know, and myself included, I live across the street. People on Nassau were worried because Pace has been doing a lot of work that was interrupting them. But in addition to that, there is a hospital there, and we have police and EMS trucks that basically double and triple park in the street as it is. So there really is no room for another entity to be coming in and using that same area. So they're gonna come back next month to try to further explain what they're doing, and that's it for me.
So there's, to wind that up, there is a new, if you live around Pace, there is a new community affairs person that you can reach out to. His name is Sean Conklin. We have his information in the office. He's left all his business cards. He was very approachable. His cell phone was on his business cards. Please reach out to the office and we'll share that with you.
Last thing, the school buses also, the schools. There's a school on Ann Street, there's two schools on Ann Street that are like special District 75 schools that have a number of buses that would normally park on Ann, that can't park on Ann because the parking garage collapsed. So they now have to park on Gold, double park with the EMS trucks and the police trucks. And so we're also wondering what's gonna happen with them and those children.
Perfect. Thank you, Mariana. Now, Justine has slides, but she promised me 3 minutes.
Listen,
So,
don't interrupt my talking.
there you go.
You got it.
We're on.
All right, so Battery Park City
Let it
Committee, we met and the Battery Park City Authority presented their 2022 financial report. The front page of the slide gives you the link to the report. If you go back, it'll go backwards. Next one is the framework. Remember that in Battery Park City, the funding comes from the pilot, ground lease, and then there's civic fees, and it goes, once it's all put together, it goes out into operations and debt service and then goes to the city. So fiscal 2022, there was 338 million in revenue that came from pilot and ground rent. And it came from residential buildings, rental and condos, 53%, commercial buildings, 44%. Next slide. Keep going. The next slide. Okay, and this just shows you how it comes in. This slide shows the ground rent and how it comes in. In 2023 is projected that 52 million will come in from ground rent. Of that, 23 million is gonna come from the commercial, but 21 million is gonna come from the condos, and only 7 million is coming from the rental buildings of Battery Park City. Okay, that's there for a reason, okay? That it's a very unequal distribution of a collection of money that comes in. The condos are paying the bulk of the share, as are the commercial buildings. And if you know, condos are owned by people for the most part, and rental buildings are owned by renters. Okay, what comes in goes out. 338 million goes out. It goes out to 37%, stays in the BPC pot. It goes to 31% operations of that 37%. And then 60% is the debt service, and the other part is some contractual stuff they have to do.
That's why it's not up.
Oh, next slide. Next slide, okay, 60%, no, go back. Sorry. 37, okay, that's what stays in Battery Park City. What goes out to New York City is 63% of that 338 million. That's the total excess revenue, which is a bit of a joke, because if you look at it, the ground rent was only 54 million. And they're keeping 124 million to pay the debt. But in there, it goes out to the joint, 81% goes to the general fund, and 19% stays with the joint purpose fund. Next slide. What is the joint purpose fund? We've talked about this before. You've got 4 buckets, and this came out of a contract between the mayor, the comptroller, and the authority. Over the years from 2010, the 4 buckets were the general fund for the city, general fund for the state, affordable housing for the city, and then the capital fund. Next slide, please. The joint purpose fund was filled, the last bucket was filled up in 2021. It has been accumulating in a bank account for the Battery Park City Authority because they take the money that comes in. And as it comes in, it goes out, so it's there. They're now up to about 77 million. They were up to 83 million, but they have committed and only committed 5 million to 5 World Trade Center affordability. So 77 million is pending, and they can't decide what to do with it. Part of why I invited the mayor to come to my committee meeting is because it'd be nice for them to understand what's going on with it and do something with it. All right, so what is the general fund? Right, yeah, right? The general fund is police, fire, sanitation, blah, blah, blah. And then here on this slide, I'm not gonna go into great detail. Next slide, sorry. Oh, I'm doing it on my thing. General fund tells you what the general fund goes to. The joint purpose fund, we don't know. Next slide. And the capital plan projects, this is included in here because it's really important to note that the Battery Park City Authority currently has something like, oh yeah, that's because Nick, wherever you are, the full slide isn't there. In here, now the next slide. Okay, this is the capital projects. This is going to pay the South BPC resiliency, Northwest resiliency, it's all in there. I'm almost out of my time, so next slide, please. And the debt overview. And this is, one more, that one, there you go, debt slide. This one is the important slide to me because it shows that the authority currently has in debt taken out $1.07 billion. And that collateral for that debt is the ground rent and pilot in Battery Park City. So when I come and complain about the ground rent, throwing people out of their homes for people, that is why, and those numbers are why. Thank you so much. And under 4 minutes, so I lied, it wasn't 3. So under 5.
If you have questions, Justine will talk to you afterwards. Please go to the committee meetings. A lot of time is spent. The Battery Park City Authority comes as well. They potentially will be back going over the financials and other questions next month.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Patrick, take us home. We want to go out the door in under 10.
You got it. Normally I would just skip any reports at this late hour, but I do want to flag for everybody, if I could just. We have a significant citywide zoning text amendment that's coming before us. We got an introductory presentation from the Department of City Planning at this month's meeting. This is part of the Mayor's City of Yes initiative. This is the second of the 3 proposals. This is, when I say significant, I think it's probably more significant than the affordable housing MIHCQA thing we dealt with about 5 or 6 years ago. There are 4 main goals. So it's called the Zoning for Economic Opportunity, but despite its marketable name, it's got a lot of devilish details. There are 4 main goals for expanding businesses, supporting growing industries, fostering vibrant neighborhoods, and providing clarity and predictability in zoning. Within that, there are 19 specific changes that they're going to make to the zoning text, ranging from allowing for upper floor commercial activity, ensuring life sciences, to supporting nightlife with common sense dancing and live entertainment rules, and simplified rules for amusements and experiential businesses can flourish, potentially enable state licensure of casinos, and so on and so on. Some of these are billed as small changes, but they're really not. And again, you just don't fully understand the scope and the potential impact, both intended and unintended consequences. We asked a ton of questions, among other things, for a copy of the zoning text amendment. They don't even have it ready yet, so we were given a copy of that, obviously. Things have been pushed out about a month or so. We're expecting this to certify from the Department of City Planning by the end of October, which means beginning in November, we're going to start to take this up as a committee. By the December full board meeting, we'll have to have our recommendations in. It's going to be a lot of work, so buckle in. All right.
Go to the meeting tomorrow.
Tomorrow,
City
we're
of Yes.
talking about this?
It was in my slide.
The meeting tomorrow is the city's, Department of City Planning's, community presentations on these things. All right, we have 2 resolutions.
Forward any information about that common sense dancing to the licensing meeting?
It's not there
Land
yet.
use meeting, I'm not breaking it out.
We should all read
Two
everything.
resolutions. First up, non-controversial, 15 Cliff Street. The owners of 15 Cliff Street are asking for a 3-year renewal of their permit to allow an open air cafe, that's the hole in the wall for those of us who live around there, and know and love that place, to continue to operate as a permitted construction in the plaza. It was unanimous vote, non-controversial. Anybody have any questions?
No.
Hearing none, I have to separate these two because the last one's a roll call, so. Call
Second.
question, Second, everybody in favor?
Yes.
No recusals, abstentions, motion passes. All right. Sorry, did my job. Last one is a solution to a problem that we have seen in the land use committee, but I know we've seen it in licensing and other committees. What do we do about the time period when we're off in August? As it turns out, the city charter actually allows community boards to take off July and or August, but as far as we know, community boards really only take the month of August off. We faced a lot of problems lately with city agencies referring applications in August, as well as in late July, or even sometimes late June, when the period during which we either have to issue our decision or the substantial part of our consideration period falls within the time that we're out of the office. So to come up with a potential solution, if our borough president, our city council member can carry this legislation in the city council, it would make 2 changes to the city charter, where the city charter talks about the creation and operation of community boards, which would effectively toll. Tolling is a legal term that says stop the clock, press pause. Toll the period for consideration during the time which community boards are closed. We're not saying don't refer them out. We're not saying stop stop city business. All of that can continue. It's just that the time period for which a community board's consideration when we're on the clock is just paused. So that should be able to hopefully solve this problem if that would pass. Any questions on that?
No, good.
Okay. So
Betty
with
has a
that,
question.
How can it not stop business?
Yeah.
We're just waiting for the community board.
because they're still going to be able to refer things out, right? It might stop them from getting our decision back for as much as, I guess, 30 days. If we could have a 30-day referral period and they referred it on July 30th, and, we had until August 31st. So it's really only going to set them back about 30 days in getting our decision. There's plenty of other things that they can do in the meantime. And it's really, it's a quirk of the city charter. We're by charter allowed to take that time period off.
Yeah.
But we should also have the ability to actually take the time off without having to call emergency meetings or without having to sacrifice our ability to have input on the applications.
Call the question.
Second.
Wait, Francis?
Shouldn't there be
Who's up first?
couldn't there be a deadline up front so we don't get caught up in all that backlog, like, a deadline to?
That's kind of what this
We've
would
tried that. We've tried negotiating with city agencies for upfront deadlines. The problem with putting an upfront deadline in here, in the way the law is currently written, the city charter is currently written, I think this is just an easier way to get that time period without setting, specific dates. All right, question was called, seconded, I guess we're on a roll call.
Emerson,
Yes.
Blank, Kennedy,
Brown Kennedy, yes.
Brown Kennedy, sorry. Cameron,
Yes.
Chang,
Chang, yes.
Chapman,
Chapman, yes.
Cole,
Yes, Cole, yes.
Coleman,
No.
Corman,
Yes.
Curtis,
Curtis, yes.
Erman,
Yeah,
Flynn,
Yes.
Berg,
Forsberg, yes.
Friedman.
Friedman, yes.
You skipped me, Cassell, yes.
guys,
Strange, you're right, my fault.
we can hear you on the recording.
Roman.
Be careful.
Roman?
Roman.
Yes.
Galloway,
Galloway, yes.
Goldstein,
Goldstein, yes.
Gibson, James,
James, yes.
Trisha,
Ron.
Jude, Kay, Canal,
Nell, yes?
Pell,
Gone.
Lewison,
Gone.
Lyon,
Line, yes.
yes.
Hold it, you missed my name again, Lerner, Lerner, yes.
Love you, Joe.
Sorry, you're.
Hi, Joe.
Did you call me, Lucia? I say yes, but I didn't answer.
Come on, guys, you gotta be quiet so the bell. Bell's on.
Done, sorry. Lerner, yes, right?
Yes.
Meltzer.
Meltzer, yes.
Thank you. Hensley. Corey. Robinson.
Yes.
Bashir Robinson, thank you. Rossi. Shear. Star.
Star, yes, yes, yes.
Thompson. Townley. Yes. You. Yes. Zelter. Yes. Thank you.
All right, everybody, it is 9:58, meeting is adjourned. Thank you so much. Let's welcome our new DM for October. Great work this month. Thank you, everybody. Good night. Okay, next month there will be food. This month, help.
Yay.
This month, help the board stack the chairs.
Next month there'll be.
Not the red
But
ones.
not the red one, not these red ones.